And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Yonkers versus Ponce, step forward, please.
20-year-old dietary aide Melissa Yonkis is suing her one-time blind date, 21-year-old student Richard Ponce, for the cost of a motel room and several in-room movies.
The two of you, according to what I've read, were introduced to each other socially through a friend and began communicating both on the phone and the internet. Is that right?
Yes.
And then you decided it was time to meet. And for some bizarre reason that I'm sure someone will explain to me briefly, you decided to have your first meeting at a motel. You arrived at the motel and you decided to put the room on your credit card.
That's correct.
You went into the motel to hang out. According to you, you got disgusted with something that happened in the motel because he was going out to visit a friend, and you stormed out. Then later on, you got a bill for 2 nights' stay at a hotel, because he evidently decided to stay that night and an extra night, and for some movies that he had rented. You want him to pay you back for the 2 nights at the motel and the videos. Is that what this case is about?
That's correct.
He says that you stormed out, that somebody, he assumes it was you, vandalized his car, which caused him to get stuck in the motel for an extra day. Is that right, sir?
Yes.
Just tell me why, briefly, you decided to have your first meeting in a motel.
Well, I'd worked late that night, and I live 45 minutes away from the defendant, so by the time I got to where he lives, it was already late, so there wasn't really much else we could do. We both live with our parents, couldn't go to each other's houses, so we decided to go to a hotel. We had talked about it for a long time, and that was the most convenient day, so I decided.
So what time did you arrive at the motel?
I think it was around 10:30.
And what happened, sir, that caused you to want to leave?
Well, the thing was, I was just not really into her when I met up with her.
You didn't like what you saw?
Well, I went out with the drink with my buddy, which I invited her to come out with me. I came back to the hotel, and I realized that my car was vandalized.
Yes.
My tires were slashed. The car wouldn't start. I'd called a friend who was a tow truck driver to fix. This car was a loaner. This is not my car. So I had to get the car fixed before my friend had found out it had been vandalized, or else she wouldn't trust me ever again with the loaner whenever the emergency case might be needed again, you know.
Why did you stay at the motel 2 nights?
Well, my tow truck driver, the friend that I had was a tow truck, was out of town, and he told me he'd been in town.
Well, Mr. Ponce, you know, you're making this up as you're going. You live in that town, do you not?
I live in the area.
You live in the area. Go home.
Well, I couldn't leave the car there.
Why not? It wasn't gone anywhere. It was already vandalized. It had flat tires and it wouldn't run. So what do you mean you couldn't leave it there?
Well, I couldn't leave it there. I just don't trust leaving a car just vandalized like that. I'm sure a tow truck would just pick it up. A car like that, it wasn't even mine. Then I'll lose track and see where it's going to go. So I stayed there the night. I waited until my friend came to pick it up. He fixed it, and unfortunately,
let me see all your receipts.
I don't
sir.
have any evidence or receipts because of the fact that I paid him to fix the car, and it was not he's not working in a mechanic shop.
You are so full of yourself. You are so full of it and yourself. I begin to zone out because there is nothing there of substance, nothing truthful. I don't even have to listen to it. I mean, I can fantasize about a whole bunch of other things. I listen to it. Listen, the first day of the motel you pay for. Do you understand?
That's
your mistake. How much did the second night cost? Show me your bill.
Okay. With the movies and the extra day, it cost me $221.
For the second night in the movies?
Yeah, altogether it was $360.
Did you watch any of the movies with him?
No, I left after the first night.
$221. Listen, consider yourself lucky. He's a real loser. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $221. Goodbye.
Yeah, this is case number 241 on the calendar in the matter of Rowland versus Bourne.
Expert.
You're quite welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats.
How old are you, Miss Rowland?
19.
According to the complaint that I've read, you were house sitting for the defendant.
Correct.
Right after you graduated from high school, which was when?
June 16th of 2001.
That was just for a month or two?
It was until I left for college on August 18th.
According to your complaint, the defendant was out of town either on business or seeing family. She came back. She threw you out unceremoniously, and she kept some of your property. She says she has none of your property. She is counterclaiming. She says you trashed her house and caused her all kinds of other grief. So, How did you know Miss Bourne?
I had previously hung out with her daughter. You know, I'd go over to her house every once in a while.
And whose idea was it that you should house sit for her over the summer?
I believe that I had said something to her daughter, Shasta. My parents and I had an agreement that I would move out for the summer.
Why?
So that I could get used to living on my own before I went to college.
That is the biggest crock that I've heard in a long time. That's not what parents do. You move out and you go live someplace else so you get used to living on your own. Never heard of that. Go ahead. Let me hear the rest.
Diane and I had an agreement that I would stay at her house during the summer, pay the water bill, pay the rent, take care of the house, things like that. I moved in on June 17th. She had already been gone for a month. When I got to the home was absolutely thrashed. There was dirt everywhere. The kitchen, I have photos of the kitchen when I got there. My friend Sharon cleaned the kitchen. When I first got into the house, there was a barbecue in the kitchen area, like an outdoor grill. An oil drum was being used as a trash can in the middle of the kitchen. She had an area rug the size of the living room in the living room that was nailed to the hardwood floor. To clean it, I picked it up, took it up and cleaned underneath it. There was about ½ an inch of dirt, crackers, food, grime. It was absolutely filthy, and I don't live like that, so I cleaned it up. I scrubbed the house on my hands and knees, cleaned the bathroom.
Go ahead. So?
July 3rd of 2001, I had come home with a couple of my friends. We were going to watch a movie, and I saw 2 cars in the front yard. And the 2 witnesses she has over there, one of them was the lady in the black was sitting on the porch along with another lady named Cheryl and Diane's younger daughter. I was very surprised to see them home because I didn't expect them to be home until the end of the summer. And I asked, hey, what's going on? And her daughter, 17-year-old daughter, came out and told me, well, you're indeed. And I said, well, why? And then Diane came out and started screaming obscenities at me, accusing me of vandalizing the house, stealing items that were in the house, things like that.
And she put you out?
She told me that I was to give her house key back, and I said I'm going to need to go get a police officer to come get my stuff with me because she wouldn't let me get any of my things.
Did you do that?
Yes, I did.
And did you get your stuff?
I got some of it. What I could load in my truck, I did when the police officer was there. He had told me that he had to go out on a fight call, so I needed to get what I could and leave. So all of my stuff that was left there was now in her possession.
Well, what do you claim you left there?
A computer, a snowboard, a computer desk, clothes, personal items, things I had purchased for the house, decorations.
I don't care what you did purchase for the house. A computer and a desk and a snowboard. What else?
Just clothes and personal items.
You have a computer and desk?
The computer desk ended up being donated to a thrift store. It was not a complete desk. There was like a whole side of it was missing.
What about the computer that was on the computer
She
desk?
took the computer the day she had the civil standby.
Have any proof that you left the computer in the house?
I have my witness. She saw that the computer was there when I left, and when she came back the next day, it was gone.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Sharon Smith.
Tell me what you know about this computer.
I was in the house the day that Diane came home.
What were you doing in the house?
I was staying there with Sarah because I was going to be leaving July 8th to go to Washington for college.
So you were living in the house?
Yeah.
Who else was living in the house?
Sarah.
Who else?
That's it. It was just me and Sarah.
Anybody else staying over?
No.
Go ahead.
Well, when I told Diane I wanted to take my things and leave, she wouldn't let me. She said I had to leave my things there. I said, well, can I at least take my purse with me? And she said, yeah, but you have to let me search it first. So I said, okay, I have nothing to hide from you. So I opened my purse. I let her look in it. She saw there was nothing of hers in there, and I had left. I was scared. I didn't know what was going on.
Will we get to the computer, please?
Well, I saw the computer there when I left. I went back the next day with my mom and a police officer to get my things, and her computer desk was no longer there.
What about her snowboard?
I don't know. I assume she took it with her when she came and got a whole truckload of stuff.
How long were you in the house after July 3rd, the date that she left?
I ended up going back to Utah approximately a week or week and a half later.
Now, in the week or week and a half that you were still in the house, the plaintiff and her parents come to the house or attempt to contact you?
The plaintiff did not. Her parents came over the next day, told me the computer actually belonged to them. She went into hiding. I had to get a restraining order because the officer that did the civil standby told me that she was a tenant. She'd never paid a dime. She'd rented rooms to her friends. She had turned my house from just a family home to a party house / bordello.
Now, how do you know that?
Well, photographic evidence, Your Honor. I've got condoms on the front room bookshelf that this young woman was apparently advertising. My family room became their junk room. My daughter's room became their junk room. She shut the door on my daughter's pet rats. No food, no water. They were this big around. They were pet rats My daughter loved animals, and they were huge. We came home, and they were like this big around, and the one is just hanging on, there's pictures, hanging on the side of the cage, no water. We gave it water.
Was it your arrangement for her to take care of
Yes,
these?
that was why she went. She was over there to feed the animals. There were cats that were so scared to come back to the house. When we left, we couldn't even catch them. The kittens became feral.
Animals, Your Honor.
None? Did you know that there were animals in the house?
Yes, she did.
Her daughter came over, Shasta came over once and told me not to open her daughter's bedroom door because there was a rat loose in her daughter Sierra's room.
Did you feed the cat?
No, ma'am. There was no agreement for me to do so.
So what were you supposed to do there?
I was just going to live there and take care of the house, make sure that, you know, nobody came in, I guess, and not...
Well, somebody did come in. You invited her.
I invited her, correct.
That was not part of your agreement.
There were several different... Excuse me.
That was not your agreement.
My agreement was for me to take care of the house.
But it wasn't your agreement for you to invite anybody else to stay with you.
She had told me, be careful who you let in the house. And I trust Sharon. She was in a situation...
You are a very, very good fibber, Miss Rowland. Looks like a major mess.
I
don't know what it looks like. I want to see which photograph that she has. She says she has a photograph of what the house looked like before. Let me see.
Sharon took these pictures before she cleaned the kitchen. These dishes and stuff was in the kitchen before we got there. This is Sharon.
Sharon?
Yeah.
When did you clean the kitchen?
The first day I was there.
Which was when, Sharon?
That would have been...
That would have been immediately, right?
Well,
when she moved in.
Sarah was there before I was.
You mean Sarah was living like a pig before you came?
She was in the process of moving her things in for a couple of days, and she asked me if I'd come over and help her clean the house. And I did, and after I cleaned the house, that's when Sarah told me that I could live with her.
Uh-huh. I don't know where your computer is. Haven't a clue. Don't know where your snowboard is. I haven't a clue. She doesn't have it. You breached your agreement with her. Your agreement with her is that you were supposed to stay there and take care of the house, take care of the animals. You did none of that. The house looks pretty trash to me, and in addition, you brought in at least one other tenant without her permission. So who knows where your computer is. You have a counterclaim. I want to see what you claim are damages because you were a tenant in this apartment. So tell me what your out-of-pocket damages were.
My first loss was the loss of my vehicle. I left California to find work. In that part of California, there's just nothing.
Come on.
So I had to leave, take time from my job to come home to deal with that.
And?
All the money that I saved to pay for my car, I ended up losing my car.
All right.
Because I had to quit my job.
A little too far removed. Come on. You're not going to get a new car. What else? Let's go.
I lost a bunch of my personal possessions.
Like what?
Family heirlooms. They broke a chair in my living room. They scratched the hardwood floor.
You're a tenant. I want to know what your out-of-pocket is.
The doors that she ripped the locks
show me what you had to pay to the landlord.
I don't have that.
Well, then I can't help you. You have a cleaning bill. I mean, you showed me a lot of damage.
The cleaning bill would have been my own sweat and blood.
Your Honor, I have a statement from the carpet cleaner regarding the carpet.
I'm not reading a statement. I don't know who those professional carpet cleaners were. And quite frankly, I don't believe a lot of what you say.
Okay.
You understand that? I don't believe a lot of what you say. It's too convenient.
I also have an incident report from the police officer stating that there was no vandalism in the house.
Oh, I'd like to see that. That I'd like to see.
I wonder if I could see that too.
No, it just says, listen to me, I'm going to tell you what it says.
Okay.
Everything appears to be code for residence is just dirty with clothes. Well, that's pretty much what I saw. Doesn't have to do with vandalism, just being a slob. Place looked like a pig pen. That's pretty much what she says, because she said she didn't have a professional anybody in there. All she did was, through the sweat of her own body, cleaned up after you. What else? You want to show me a police report?
No, it's just the contract on my car, my down payment on my car that I lost, $5,000.
First of all, you're supposed to use good judgment. You have an 18-year-old that you let move into your house who just graduated from high school. Not necessarily good judgment.
It's not one of my finer moments.
Well, I wouldn't do it. Would you do that?
No.
Well, I didn't have any reason to think that she would screw me over.
Except that she's a high school kid.
I found out later she called me and said her parents had kicked her out because she'd stayed out one night partying, and they were very strict.
That's incorrect, Your Honor.
That is
I don't know what the
grossly
reason
incorrect.
is that you weren't staying with your parents. It certainly wasn't the cock and bull story that you gave me at the beginning of this
She
case.
had stolen their
that they wanted
credit
to see
card,
if you could
Your
manage
Honor.
on your own. Listen, you're not entitled to a thing. I don't know where your computer is. I don't know where your snowboard is. I don't know where any of these things are after a year. Madam, you are entitled to nothing as a result of your bad judgment. If you had to clean up after her, that's what you did. The loss of your car is not her fault. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She turned my home into a bordello.
She lived in filth, and I cleaned it up.
She had several overnight guests, males, multitudes of them.
Her family's white trash.
She was a tramp, and she was a troublemaker and a thief.
Don't associate with white trash.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Olenichuk Robinson versus Crandall. Step forward, please.
21-year-old homemaker Jennifer Olenichuk and her boyfriend, carpenter Michael Robertson, are suing their former friend, 22-year-old fast food worker Jennifer Crandall, for money owed and for vandalism to their property.
Ms. Olenichuk, you and the defendant were good friends, according to what I've read, for about 7 years. And there came a time, it was past summer, that, according to you at least, the defendant was thrown out of her house. She lived with her parents or her mother, along with her child. And you volunteered to take her into your house that you share with your boyfriend.
Right.
She did, in fact, move in with you. And when was that?
June 1st, 2002.
And how old is your child?
11 months old.
And the child came with you?
Yes.
And it was your agreement, according to you, that she would take care of some chores around the house, pay some minimal rent.
Right.
She'll claim it didn't work out. You told her to leave because you believed that she had stolen some money from you. You changed the locks on the door. She came home. She got angry when she found out the locks were changed. She vandalized your house, vandalized your car. Ms.
Right.
Crandall says she owes you nothing. She didn't cause any damage.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It appeared that she was drinking. We were screaming at each other and yelling. She went to her car, got a crowbar out of her trunk, and went at my trunk with her crowbar.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jennifer Olenichuk and her boyfriend Michael Robertson claim former roommate Jennifer Crandall owes for vandalism to their property and unpaid rent. Jennifer says the couple locked her out.
So when did you find that she had stolen money from you? What makes you think she stole money from you?
On August 8th, I was at work. I got paid $200 in cash. I came home late that night. We had a fight because I had used Jenny's car to go to work, and I came home late.
So she was angry with you?
Yes, very angry. We went to bed very late. The next morning, we woke up, and Jenny was gone with Cheyenne, and I went in my purse, and I was missing a $100 bill. Usually she left a note when she left. She left no note that morning, and she didn't call right away. She didn't call for a few hours after that. Then when I did talk to her when she called, she had told me that her and her sister-in-law had been at the mall getting some toys for Cheyenne and this, that, and the other. And I had asked her, well, you were kind of broke yesterday. And she had told me that she took exactly $100 off of an account that she has at the bank.
Okay. So?
After that, she didn't come home all day. I went back and forth with deciding whether or not I actually wanted to be kind of mean about it and just do things the way I did. And at like the last minute, I decided. And I packed up all her and her child's stuff and put it outside. She came home about 5 minutes later, and that's when things just escalated. I was in the house the whole time watching out the window. It appeared that she was drinking. She, of course, tried to get in the door to come upstairs, and she noticed that the locks was changed. And there was a lot of yelling going on. She then started throwing rocks at the windows because I live on the second story, and sometimes you don't hear people knocking. Then it went from that to, of course, I didn't open the window or answer at all. I was scared that if I went downstairs...
You weren't sure about it?
That if I went downstairs, there'd be a physical confrontation, which didn't need to happen after everything else. She used the neighbor's phone and called about, 6 or 7 times. Why don't you come downstairs? This is ridiculous. You're being a...
Why did you decide to go the nasty route? I mean, you said, I debated whether or not to go the nasty route back and forth, and finally I decided to go the nasty route. Why?
Well, and we've had a lot of problems with the friendship in the last 7 years, and the night before, like I said, we had gotten in a big fight.
Because you used her car, and you kept the car out longer than you were supposed to. That
Right.
was the wrong thing to do.
Right.
So why did that end up with you doing the nasty thing and throwing her things out?
Because it was very, very loud and escalated the night before. We were screaming at each other and yelling, and I said, okay, I've already apologized 3 or 4 times, I'm sorry. And finally I was just like, well, why don't you just leave then? And when I said, why don't you just leave, she said, no, I'm not leaving. Well, then when the stuff happened the next morning, I was scared that, again, inside my house this time, I would have the same fight of, no, I'm not going to leave. So I just did things the way that I did, more or less to save.
Nasty.
Right, very nasty.
So What do you think she owes you?
The night that the whole thing happened, August 9th, after she was angry that I changed the locks, she was trying to kick in my door. It didn't open, but she messed up the door. I do have pictures. We had to replace the lock again after I just changed it. The molding was pulled away from the door, and then after that, she realized, I don't know if she realized she wasn't going to get it open, or she just got sick of kicking at it. She went over to her car, and she was yelling stuff about, she had some tools that were stored in my trunk, because I have a very small apartment. She went to her car, got a crowbar out of her trunk, and went at my trunk with her crowbar.
Anybody ever tell you that you had to give her some notice before you changed the locks on her? You just locked her out with her 11-month-old baby.
She was already planning on moving.
What I'm telling you is, you did it in a disorganized fashion over an incident that was your fault. You took her car and kept it without her permission.
No, that's not why I kicked her out. The reason I kicked her out was the money.
She's not the only one who lives in your house.
No, but
She's not the only one who lives in your house?
Right.
I don't know whether she took your money or not. You still are obliged. She's a rent-paying tenant to give her notice, and you didn't. You just can't say, well, I don't like this tenancy anymore. I'm changing the locks and throwing your stuff out. That doesn't work. And you yourself told me, kept going back and forth and back and forth. Should I do this the nasty way or the nice way? Nasty or nice? And at the last minute, you decided to do it the nasty way.
Right, or I could have had a broken house and a fist fight in my living room.
That's possible. You could have also had the police there. But you have to give her a 30-day notice. Or give her 5 days. Or something.
Well, she did. She had a week and a half. There was a day already set for her to move out.
So?
Well, I was already a ton of money in the hole from covering
Just a second.
rent.
What date was she supposed to move out?
The 14th.
The 14th.
And what day was this?
The 9th.
The 9th.
When the incident happened.
Change the rules. You get nothing. See, you didn't have to say a word. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, this is case number 244 on the calendar in the matter Hesevic versus Boudreaux Whitney. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Hesevic, it is your complaint that because of the defendant's conduct in reporting certain behavior that really never happened on your part, that you lost your job. You want to be compensated for that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the defendants say that they had some business dealings with you. They found your conduct unacceptable. They reported that to your boss, and they had a legitimate right to do that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. What kind of business were you in?
I sold gutter cover to keep debris out of gutters.
And how long had you worked for them?
About 4 or 5 months.
How did you find the defendants, or they found you?
They called in, I think, on a radio ad.
Is that true?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Okay. What happened that caused you to call and make a complaint about the plaintiff?
Your Honor, basically it was just Karen's behavior. We were very interested in the product. It looked very good, and I expressed to her in the beginning.
Tell me what the product looks like.
It's actually a sheet metal device that goes over your gutter to deflect the needles and leaves off the gutter and allow the water to go in. Awesome product. Anyhow, we were very interested in the product. Karen came out to the house. We asked her to do an estimate. She left me with a tape and a sample of the product. I expressed to her that I wanted my wife to see the tape because she wasn't home at the time.
What date was that?
I believe that was the Saturday, the 24th, I believe was that was the date, yeah. Anyhow, she expressed to me that she needed the tape back. It was her last tape. And I clearly understood that and promised her we'd get it back to her. My wife got home late that evening, didn't get a chance to view the tape. The next day, she did, which was a Sunday. We in turn decided at that point that we had some friends that would be interested in the product as well. So we figured we'd hang on to it till Monday and get it back to her. Over the weekend, Karen left several nasty grams on my telephone, on my cell phone, expressing her desire to get the product back.
The tape back.
Right. Come Monday, she made a phone call or two to the house, which my wife, Whitney, answered, and she can tell you basically what took place there.
She called me on the phone, and she says, I really need to get my tape back. And I said, well, I got a friend that owns a gutter company, and I wanted to let them see it to see if they thought it was credible, that it might work. And she goes, well, I really need to get my tape back. I says, well, do you only have one tape? She goes, yep, I only have one tape. I go, well, okay, fine. I said, come get it. And she did.
On what date did she come?
It was on Monday evening.
Okay.
Which would have been the 26th, Your Honor.
Okay,
Yeah,
so what
26.
happened when plaintiff came and got the tape?
At that point, Your Honor, I'd arrived home from work, and I got a knock on the door, and it was Karen. She was obviously upset. I said nothing at first, went and got the tape, handed it to her, and said, I apologize that you didn't get it back as quick as you wanted based on the messages I retrieved. She was obviously upset. She got cranky with me and, grabbed it out of my hands and was obviously not real happy about the whole thing. And I said, Karen, the product that you're representing is awesome. I love it. We're interested in it. But the way you're treating me, I'm not going to buy anything from you. Her response was, I don't want to sell you anything. And I said, fine. Then I asked her to leave or I'd call the police. Now, several days went by, and I got a subpoena served to our house, and it referred to a Bruce Hesevic was suing us for something. Now, I never met a Bruce. I haven't got a clue who Bruce was. So I was shocked. I didn't know what it was all about. In doing further research, I recognized the last name, which is on the back of her flyer, Hasevik and then Karen. So
What kind of subpoena did you get?
I got a small claim subpoena that said my wife and I, who she never met, Your Honor, were being sued for loss of income, libel, malicious behavior, slander, and so on.
May I see it, please?
Sure.
Plaintiff's employer?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you left that part out.
I beg your pardon,
sir.
ma'am. I did call the gutter, the people I spoke to, Mr. Steve, and I expressed my interest in this product. And I said, a lady named Karen came to our house to show your product over the weekend, left us a tape. We wanted to view the tape for a longer period of time. She took it back, was very upset with me for keeping it. Can you please send me another tape? And he said, well, you're saying Karen? And I'm saying, yes, Karen. He says, well, I have no Karen working for me. He goes, there is a Bruce that works for me in that area. You're sure it wasn't a man? I says, no, it was a lady named Karen. Fine, I'll send you a copy of the tape. Then a short while after that, we had a sheriff come to our house looking for us. We weren't there. We had a PTA meeting. My boys told us.
And then you got served with
Served after, yep. Okay. And then I went down to the courthouse and filed for a jury trial, figuring I'm going to get this thing out in the open.
Okay, now I got you.
Bingo.
And it would be fair to say that in your conversation with Mr. you voiced some displeasure with the salesperson.
Absolutely.
You did. You said, I don't like the way I'm being treated. I didn't like the way I was treated.
No, I'm a sales manager, Your Honor, and I think when you want to make a sale, you're nice to people.
Bruce and Karen, same person?
Yes.
Okay, so that's both you. Mm-hmm. Now, when you went to work for this gutter cover company, did you interview with this Mr.?
Yes. I actually did sales before I ever met him, and then...
For the same company?
Yeah, I was working for the previous franchisor, and he came down after that. I sold several deals before that.
When you interviewed and worked for them previously, you worked for them as Bruce.
Right.
To your knowledge, did this Mr. know that you were also Karen?
We had talked about it. I called the office and said that there would be a person as Karen out there, and that my hair was long, and that people do see me as a woman.
You intend to maintain that persona?
Yes.
My problem, Ms. Hasevik, is that you seem to ascribe some behavior to the defendants, which is actionable. Why do you believe that they do not have a right to call your employer and say, I'm dissatisfied with the kind of treatment that I got from your rep. I like the product. I'm interested in buying the product. And if your employer decides, for whatever reason, to let you go, why do you feel as if you have the right to sue the defendants?
Because when I talked to Steve on Tuesday, he told me that the severity of their complaint against me was such that he had to believe that they were telling the truth. I told him they were not telling the truth, and then I told him exactly what happened. And as she said, she told me to come out and pick up the tape. On the phone call, she did not say that. She hung up on me. And I have copies of the phone call that was made to him. He said I made several threatening phone calls.
You went out there to get the tape?
Yes.
No, I said
What
nasty grams. I didn't say phone call.
Nasty grams?
Yeah, on my cell phone.
When you went out there to get the tape, tell me what happened.
Well, I got out of my car. Their kids yelled from the top of the deck that the lady from the gutter is here. And I heard her yelling at her kids, I don't want to talk to her. Tell them to go down to the basement door and talk to the father. And so they came out and told me that. So I went around under the deck into the basement door that they have there. He opened the door part way and handed me the tape, and he said some remarks to me. And I said, well, you promised to have it back to me by 5 p.m. on Saturday. I said, you never called? He said, oh, yes, I did. But I was at home from 3 o'clock all the way till 10 o'clock at night. There wasn't one phone call. I have a message machine on my machine.
There you go. That's why you didn't answer it.
And
sorry.
No messages were even left.
Nope. That's
so?
True.
So, yeah.
So?
And, yeah, so he didn't call to say he wasn't going to meet me. He could have left a message machine on there. He knew that the
So what did you say to him?
He made some comments, and then I told him that I had to use that for sales, and that as he knew I had appointments on Monday morning. I didn't get the tape till 7 o'clock Monday night.
And?
So he says, well, you're losing more business.
You forget the golden credo, which is the customer's always right.
Want me to deliver the damn tape? I'm sorry.
The customer's always right. Because you had a real live customer there. You had a customer who was really interested in your product.
$6 grand.
Listen.
I'm sorry.
That's a hothead. Let me ask you this question. Why didn't you call Gutter and have them give you another tape?
I had sent a memo up to them on Monday morning saying that I needed another tape.
Why didn't you go there?
Oh, they're out of Seattle, and I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, so they have to send it to you.
Yeah.
Why did you wait until you were down to your last tape?
I only had one tape all the time.
Well, that sounds like a not very good policy. What happens if that
That's
tape?
all the company gives.
Well, that's kind of stupid.
Right, yeah.
You don't have a cause of action, Ms. Hesvik. He has an absolute right to call the company and say, I don't like her attitude. I don't like the way she spoke to me. I was interested in your product. I'm still interested in your product. He's not trying to put one over on these people. He's calling and saying, listen, your lady who you sent out here was rude. She took off. She doesn't want to do business with me. I'm still interested in doing business with your company. Send me another tape and send me another rep. And if by virtue of that statement, Mr. let you go as the rep for the company in your area, so be it. It may also have been that Mr., and I don't know, he's not here, was not happy about not knowing what gender person was going out. He thought it was one gender and it turned out to be a different gender. That's possible too. That coupled with what they said, listen, I don't need this aggravation. But they have a right to call.
Yes.
They have a right to make a complaint. That's what the First Amendment's all about. So your claim is dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Basically what happened as a result of this individual not being honest.
Some people can lie and get away with it.
Honesty is the best policy. You know, she should have been honest and she wasn't.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Panzeri versus Maria, step forward, please.
25-year-old dental hygienist Gina Panzieri is suing her former friend, 23-year-old student Heather Merrier, for her share of a vacation in Daytona Beach.
Ms. Panzieri, you and the defendant have been good friends, decided to take a vacation together. According to your complaint, one of you purchased the tickets, the airline tickets, and the other one reimbursed for half, and then the agreement was that the defendant would pay you for half the hotel. You booked that on your credit card. You went away, she didn't pay, you want her half.
Correct.
Now, you had an agreement to pay half the hotel.
Yes.
You went away with her.
Yes.
You didn't pay half the hotel.
No.
You have a defense.
Yes.
Okay. How much is half the hotel?
Her half of the hotel is $1,075.44.
Okay. And can I see the documentation for that, please?
Absolutely.
Okay. I want to let you know that I'm looking at the bill. The bill indicates that the only thing on here was the room, the tax, room charge, so there were no other additional charges on this bill. You understand that?
Yes.
It's clear you did not pay her your half.
Yes.
Tell me very quickly what your defense is.
Well, we arrived in Daytona, and the first 3 days were fine, and every day after that was awful. She was an absolute nightmare. She acted like my mother. We went down there to have
So you
a
didn't
good
have a
time.
good time together?
No, not at all.
And so what did you do?
I didn't stay in the hotel half the time.
You stayed where?
I stayed with friends that I met down there.
Fine. Well, you stayed in their hotel?
Yep.
Did you pay them?
Nope.
Good. So you have to pay her. Understand?
Yep.
If you had a bad time, then you don't plan on going with her again. Do you understand?
Yes.
But you pay pursuant to your agreement, and then you say, I'm not going to make arrangements to do this anymore.
Yep.
You have to pay once. You didn't pay at all. Right?
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,075. Goodbye.
Now, this is case number 273 on the calendar in the matter of Weaver, Maya versus Burt. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Weaver, this case is a little complicated, so let me see if I can untangle it. You had a 1989 van that you decided to sell, and I assume you put a sign out in the van?
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant, who you didn't know, saw the sign and decided to buy the van. He gave you a deposit. There is some discrepancy as to the amount of the deposit, but he gave you a deposit. He was supposed to come back and pay the rest.
Right.
According to you, he did not come back on the day he was supposed to come back, so the next day you sold the van to somebody else.
Yes.
When he did come back for the van, you told him, I'm sorry, you didn't come back when you were supposed to, so I sold it to somebody else. The defendant said, okay, give me my deposit back.
Right.
You said it was a non-refundable deposit. Then there were several things that happened. He says you told him you'd give him some money when you got a check, and he came back a couple of times to try to get the money. In any event, you claim that he had you falsely arrested for terrorizing him.
Yes.
And you want to be compensated for that false arrest.
Yes.
Mr. Burt is counterclaiming. He wants his deposit back, and he wants damage to his car because he said when he tried to pursue you for the return of his deposit, you did in fact threaten him, and you threw a brick at his car, damaging his car, and he's counterclaiming. So, Mr. Weaver, tell me when Mr. Burt approached you. He came to your house?
Yes.
What date?
It was July 17th when he came to my house. I heard a doorbell ring, went to the door. Excuse me.
I ask questions. You had July 17th is your answer.
Yes.
How much were you asking for the van?
I wanted $1,000 for it.
Did you write up an agreement with him?
Yes, we did.
Do you have a copy of the agreement?
No, I gave it to him because it was like a receipt.
Can I see the receipt, please?
Yes, ma'am.
I want the original receipt.
Well, ma'am, what happened to the original? My wife had washed my pants and it got destroyed, and I had to make a copy of it.
You say the price was $2,000, Mr. Burt.
Actually,
I want you to make very, very certain, Mr. Burt, that we understand each other absolutely 100% right. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
How much of a deposit did you give him?
I gave him a $1,200 deposit, ma'am.
Show me proof that you had $1,200 with you and where you got the money from.
Okay.
Because he says you gave him a $100 deposit. There's a big difference. He says you're selling the car for $1,000. You say $2,000. You say you gave him a $1,200 deposit. He says you gave him.
No, I asked him for a $100 deposit. He brought back $200.
Show me where you took $1,200 from, Mr. Burt.
Yeah, I'm a carpet cleaning business owner.
You're a what?
Carpet cleaning business owner. I own a carpet cleaning business called Priority One. What happened was, me and my wife went home. I got the $1,200.
From where?
From my house. What happened, I didn't have it in the bank because I had a discrepancy with bank, and I had to withdraw all my money out of the bank. And that basically came through a settlement that I had received.
Bert, you think that you can get me the Blue Book value of a 1989 Astro van with 200,000 miles?
Sure.
Good. Thank you. Now, sir, he gave you, according to you, $200, and he was supposed to come back when?
On July 27th. He never called, never showed up.
On the 27th?
On the 27th, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what happened on the 28th? Who'd you sell it to?
On the 28th, I waited all day for him to call, left a note on my door even, which he had stated to me after he came 2 weeks later, after the 28th, that he had saw the note and never called me anyway, because he said his wife was in a hospital. Sorry.
When did you sell the car, the 28th?
The night of the 28th. What I did
to
was...
whom?
His name was Guy.
And you have all of his information, is
Yes,
that right?
I have the canceled check and the
And
receipt.
what's the canceled check? You can step up. Bert isn't here. Step up.
I'm sorry. This is the receipt we wrote up the day of 28th.
Good.
That's
Step
canceled
back.
check. Thank you.
All right, so this is my question. So 2 weeks later, Mr. Burt comes back and says, where's my car? And you said, I don't have the car, and he wants his deposit back.
Right.
Clearly, based upon the evidence that you've just given me, sir, you sold the car for more money to this other person
Yes.
than you did to
The reason
Mr.
why...
Than you did to Mr. Burt. So, you were not out any money. Why didn't you give him back his $200?
Because when he had first come to my house, I said I needed the money for my mortgage because I was out of work because of my knee, and I needed the money by the 27th. I said it was a non-refundable deposit if you did not show up.
Come on! It's not in your contract.
I know I should have written it, but it was...
It's not there. And if you write up a contract and it's not there, I mean, not that I'm saying this might not have been altered to alter the money, because I think that that's a possibility. Because clearly I believe that you sold the van for $1,100. So why would you sell it to him for $2,000 and then sell it to somebody else for half that? You have a price there for me?
Trade-in fair is $900, Judge.
Okay. Fine. So no way, Mr. Burt, do I believe that you paid $2,000 for this van.
No, Your Honor, I didn't.
Do you understand that you agreed to pay $2,000 for this van.
Yes,
No way. Okay, because you're a businessman. And a businessman doesn't pay twice as much for something that it's worth and it's listed in that book for. So this, sir, that you handed to me, you altered.
No.
Oh, yes, you did. Yeah, you did. $2,000. Deposit $1,200. That's what you wrote here. So somebody wrote in a 1 in front of the 2 and changed the 1 to a 2. Somebody did that. Maybe it was the used car ferry or something. I don't know. Somebody did it, if not you. So don't try to pull one over on me, Mr. Burt. He should have given you your deposit back, but don't try to make money off this thing. We understand each other, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He says, get off my property, harassing me, or I'm gonna blow your head off. Call me a
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rick Weaver says he was arrested when Stephen Burt filed a false report with the police. Stephen says Rick threatened him and then threw a brick at his car.
Now, he came to your house a couple of times for the money. Is that right?
Yes. The first time he came, I had told him it was non-refundable, and he left. He said he's going to sue me. I said, fine, do what you got to do. He came back again, and in good faith, I said, listen, I said, in good faith, we had a verbal agreement about the deposit, said it was non-refundable, it was verbal. I said, in good faith, I'll give you half of it back when I get my disability check. He agreed to that. He said that was fine, and I told him to come back, in about a month I'd have it. So he showed up 2 weeks later, and that's when all this other stuff occurred.
Well, tell me about all the other stuff, sir.
Me and my fiance were pulling up in my driveway. He pulled up behind us. We were walking up to my door, and he said, I need to get all your information. I said, what do you mean information? He said, for information to sue you. I said, you have my information. You know where I live. You know my name. I said, you have all my information. There's nothing. I said, you get off my property or I'm calling the cops because you're harassing me about this $100. And he left.
Why? It's not 100. It's 200.
Yeah, I know, but we had agreed on 100.
You didn't give him the 100.
No, because I didn't have my disability check yet.
You got the money from the car,
right,
sir.
I paid my mortgage.
That's not his problem.
I know.
And I believe that you threatened him because that's what he's going to tell me. Is that right, Mr. Burt?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I've already caught you in one lie, so let's not do it again. I want you to tell me exactly what happened the second time you went to his house and said to him, give me your information. Do you understand, Mr. Burt? I don't want you to fabricate anymore.
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
I went to Mr. Weaver's house. I seen him and his girlfriend pull in the driveway. I pulled behind him. Mr. Weaver came over to me. He says, I told you when I get my disability, I was going to give you the $100. I said, well, we need to let a judge decide what to do in this case because I shouldn't keep coming to you for a deposit that you owe me.
You're absolutely right.
I said, and the reason I'm here is just to get your complete address and a telephone number so they can contact you.
Okay.
He stormed away from me. He went in the house. He came out, slammed open the screen door. He was pointing an object at me. I couldn't see what it was, but he says, get off my property, harassing me, or I'm going to blow your effing head off. He called me in. I got in my car. He came off the step. He threw a brick, and he did damage to my car, doing over $800, Your Honor. And I have pictures of the damage.
Well, let me see.
I also have a...
and I want to see the police report.
I don't have the police report with me. I just have... The only thing that I received was a complaint from Mr. Weaver. They never gave me a police report where I filed on him.
When did you file?
I filed the same day.
Where?
At Clementon Police Department.
So you left his house and went right to the police department?
Yes, ma'am, after he threw the brick.
Okay, when were you arrested, sir?
The next day, me and my fiance and her 12-year-old daughter were pulling up my driveway. Chief pulled in. I've known for years. He said, Rick, I have to arrest you. Someone said you threatened him with a gun.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you know me better than that. I said, I hate guns. I don't even let my kids play with plastic guns.
It's not true, Your Honor.
Shh, quiet.
And he said, well, I have to do my job. It's coming from Camden Superior Court, and I have to do my job. So they arrested me, took me down, fingerprinted me. I got arrested in front of my 12-year-old future stepdaughter, which was very embarrassing and degrading. They took me down in front of all my friends who were police officers. I'm friends with everybody in the town. Arrested me, fingerprinted me, photoed me. I had to go in a van, ride around in a van, a county van. They put me in a holding cell for 22 hours with 18 guys. The one was the guy that was laying next to me on the floor was defecating in.
I don't care. Don't go into it. Listen to me. Your all could have been avoided if he gave him his $200. Right? All could have been avoided if he gave him his $200. Now, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you throw a brick at his car?
No, ma'am.
No, I don't believe you did.
No, ma'am.
I don't believe you did, but I do believe you threatened him.
No, I did not.
Oh, yes, that I believe. I believe that you told him to get off or you're going to blow whatever. That I believe you did. You see what happens when you lie once, Mr. Burt? When you lie once, like this, and you hand this kind of stuff to me, then I find suspect other things that you say when it's not consistent. What is consistent is that he got annoyed with you coming around, that when you came back and you were very polite, you said to him, I need all your information. I need your full address. You had his address. All you had to do was look up at the number on the house and you see his address. You wanted a phone number. Do you need a phone number? I'm not sure you do, but you wanted his phone number. I can understand him not wanting to give you the phone number because maybe he was afraid that you'd keep calling to harass him. But I do believe he threatened you. Don't believe this, don't believe this. So I believe you have the right to go and say he threatened me. If they followed through with that, I assume you told them the whole story, then you have no case. Now you have a counterclaim for the return of your deposit and the damage to your car. He's suing you for $3,000 for intentional infliction of emotional distress for the time he spent in jail and being arrested. All of which came about because he didn't do the right thing. He, in effect, stole your money. Understand that? You stole his money. He gave you $200. You refused to give it back. He was very patient. You were treating him like a fool. And that's what happened to you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rick Weaver says he was arrested when Stephen Burt filed a false report with the police. Stephen says Rick threatened him and then threw a brick at his car.
You shouldn't have been a pig, which you were. You said, not only am I going to get $1,100 from this guy, I'm going to get another $200. It's $1,300 for the van. And the van is, according to you, got 200,000 miles, all banged up, not worth much, 13 years old, right?
Right.
So here I got top dollar for this van. So you spent 2 days in jail because you were a pig. As far as you're concerned, sir, you're suing him for $2,085.12, damage to your car, which I don't believe, and return of the van deposit, which you say is $800, which I also don't believe. $200. So you get $200, you get $200, you both get nothing. Goodbye.
Excuse, you may step out.
I think he should have handled it more like a man.
He pleaded his case. I had to pay $7,500 cash bail, and I spent 2 days
And
in
the
jail.
prosecutor in Camden ended up throwing it out anyway because it was
all the
based on a
cases were
lie.
thrown out because he lied on them.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Barker versus Laughlin. Step forward, please.
25-year-old occupational therapist Carla Barker is suing her ex-fiancé, heavy equipment operator Donald Laughlin, for the return of a waterbed mattress and 2 jackets.
Miss Barker, you and the defendant have been engaged for a period of time well over a year ago.
Correct.
According to your complaint, you broke up in September of 2001. You moved out. The defendant owes you for some furniture and 2 jackets.
That is correct.
Fine. Those are the 2 jackets.
Yes,
Bird,
ma'am.
would you transfer the 2 jackets to her? He says you can take back the 2 jackets and I don't owe you a dime. Is that right, sir?
Exactly.
Great.
So, Miss Barker, you can tell me now. Now you have your 2 jackets back.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you lived in the same residence or in the same city for the last year and a half?
Yes, ma'am. I've lived there for 6 years.
Worked at the same job?
Yes, ma'am.
So are you Rip Van Winkle? Where have you been for the last year and a half if you claim he owes you money?
I haven't been not dealing with this. For the last 6 months, I have been trying to work with Donald through an attorney that I had acquired to resolve these matters.
When you moved out in September of 2001, what property did you take with you?
I took a love seat, a papasan chair I had. I took another queen-size bed that I had possession of. I had 2 dressers. I had a cedar chest.
Now, what is it that you claim that he has that belongs to you?
He has a mattress, a replacement waterbed mattress. What it is an actual mattress.
A replacement waterbed mattress?
Yes.
What does that mean?
The waterbed had a bag in it that you filled with water. However, I was having difficulty sleeping on that. It was hurting my back. So I purchased basically a regular mattress that had pads on both sides, and it was a regular mattress that fits into the frame of the waterbed.
What else do you want?
There was a computer desk that was purchased.
Yeah?
That I had purchased.
So why didn't you take it with you?
Well, at the time, it was too big and it was put together. It would have had to have been dismantled to be taken apart and for me to take. That would have required time, which he was not willing to give me.
So now you decided you wanted it?
Well, yes, when I was...
Well, I'm sorry you don't get it.
But, ma'am, I believe that he is in possession of it. I purchased it.
I don't care whether
and
you
if it is in his possession, that he owes me the money for that.
No, he doesn't.
Can I ask why?
Yeah, you can. I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
There are no courts for people who live together. Clearly, when you separated, he had no problem with you taking a whole bunch of stuff out of the apartment. Because I read your complaint. I read your complaint and I read his answer. He had no trouble. You left, and you said, "You take this stuff. You want to take this stuff. You take it. The rest of the stuff, you leave here." You couldn't take this big bandura with you. You had no place to put it, so you said, "The hell with it. I'll leave it there." As far as the bed is concerned, you had him get rid of his waterbed because you had a pain in your back. He got rid of his waterbed. You put another mattress there. Now you want the mattress back?
Yes, ma'am, I do, because
well, you
he is
can't
still in
have it.
possession of the bag that went in it in the first place.
You can't have it back. Because if
Then
you
I
wanted
believe-
any of these things back, a week after you moved out, if you had gone to him and said, "Now I want these things because I believe they're mine," then you litigate it.
Ma'am,
You
we
don't
have
come
been
into
dealing
court a
with
year and a
this
half
for-
later and say, "Well, now I have a house that's big enough."
Ma'am, I
When should
haven't
it be?
moved either. My place of residence is still the same.
What does that have to do with anything?
Because it's not the fact that I can fit it, it's the fact that I want him, and I believe that he owes me for that.
He's
And
not giving you a penny.
I have been dealing with
He's
an
not
attorney
giving
for
you
6 months.
a penny. The day after you move out, you resolve all issues. He lets you take a whole bunch of stuff with you. And all of a sudden, you wake up 8 months later and say, I think I'm going to want that mattress, or at least I want money for it. Where's that computer desk? He's got the computer desk. I want the money for that computer desk now.
Ma'am, that's not the way.
So,
that's not
move
the way
on with
it
your
was.
life. Don't bother me. You got your jackets back, that's it.
Now, this is case number 287 on the calendar in the matter of Ortiz versus Palacios. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Mr. Ortiz, you and the defendant have 3 children together, is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
You say she owes you some money. Ms. Palacios says she doesn't owe you anything. As a matter of fact, she believes that you should give her some money for medical bills for the birth of one of your children, as well as some personal property. Is that right?
Yes.
How old are these children?
The other one is 4 years. That's a boy. The other one is 3 years. And my baby boy is about 9 months.
And where do these children live?
Currently, they live with the mother.
Is that right?
Yes.
And who do you live with?
With my parents.
How long have you been together with Mr. Ortiz?
We were together for almost 5 years.
During that time that you lived together?
Yes.
Is that right?
That's correct.
When did you go back to live with your mother?
On May 28th, 2002.
And since you've been living with your mother, how much child support has Mr. Ortiz paid you?
Nothing.
Why?
Because she had failed to the child support agency to submit all the financial statement. Nothing had been settled to the child support
I don't care whether it's
agency.
been settled. What do you think? The kids don't eat between May and settlement date? They don't have doctors? They don't have clothes? What do you mean, no?
I mean, I do think the children, they eat, and they need stuff.
Why didn't you give her any money?
Because I don't have a job, Your Honor.
You have 3 children and no job?
That's true.
Really? Something wrong with you?
Yes.
What?
I got hurt at work on June 19 and got surgery on the July 27, and since then I've been TTD.
What's TTD?
Total temporarily disabled.
What's the nature of your disability?
Problems with my back.
And you just had these problems with your back since a month after she left?
No, that's incorrect.
Well, how long have you had problems with your back?
Over a year.
Over a year?
Mm-hmm.
Who supports you?
Nobody.
Who feeds you?
Nobody.
You mean you haven't eaten in a year? Mr. Ortiz, who supports you?
The only source of income I was receiving was a work compensation.
How much?
This month I started receiving $210 for permanent disability.
Who do you live with?
Nobody.
Do you have your own apartment?
Yes, I do.
You pay rent?
No, I don't pay rent.
Who pays your rent?
Nobody, because I own the place.
You own what place?
The apartment.
When did you buy the apartment?
On the year 1999.
While you were still together?
Yes.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $70,000.
You have a mortgage?
Yes, I do.
Who pays the mortgage?
I'm responsible to pay it.
Mr. Ortiz, you understand where I'm going, sir? You're suing her because you wanted to pay for the cost of a trip. reimbursement for some of a Disneyland trip that you took with her. Who went on the trip? The two of you. Who else?
Our family.
The whole family?
Yes.
When did you go on the trip?
September last year.
Was that shortly before or after you became disabled?
I was already disabled by then.
Then you shouldn't have gone on a trip to Disneyland. If you had no money, you don't go on a trip to Disneyland and expect her to pay half. She's got 3 children. You haven't paid her a dime since May. What, are you crazy? You think I'm going to give you any money? Shh, quiet! You think I'm going to give you any money? Man goes on disability. You're not too disabled to go to Disneyland. Spend a fortune in Disneyland when you're not working because you're disabled, because you have a back problem. And you expect me to order her to pay you for half of the trip to Disneyland? Hello? Then you want to be reimbursed for car insurance. You want to tell me about the car insurance?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Last year, I referred her where she's currently employed. I put the word in for her, that way she can get hired. And then she didn't have a way to transportation. And then she said that she wanted to use my vehicle. And she promised me that she was going to pay for the maintenance and the car insurance for this vehicle.
I'm not even asking her that question. You mean because you were unemployed, because you're disabled, because you have a bad back that only lets you go to Disneyland? She went and got a job. She needed a car to go to the job. You're living as a family with your 3 children. She drove your car, so you wanted to pay your insurance. Is that what you're telling me? Is that what you're telling me? Hello?
What I'm telling you is that she promised that she was...
I don't care. I don't believe it. I'm not even going to ask her. I don't care. You made 3 children. You made a promise, morally, to support them. You haven't done it. For a long time, you haven't done it. What?
We split up in May. They spent 16 days with me, those children, on the month of June. The child support is to be retroactive as of June. Since then, I've been working with the child support agency, and I'm just waiting to pay all my...
Listen to me, sir. Because you're waiting for the child support agency to tell you how much to pay doesn't mean that you don't give her money for the children. Do you understand?
I understand, Your Honor.
Good. You're living in your condo, paying the mortgage. She's living with her parents, who did not bargain to have 3, 4 little kids home with them because the 2 of you split up. She can't afford to live in her own place. Are you working?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
Right now I'm a shift supervisor.
How many hours a day do you work?
Normally, a day I work 7.5.
And who takes care of your children?
My mother and my sister.
What about him? He doesn't do anything. Why did he babysit for the children during the day?
Because he was very abusive. That's why we got to court.
He's very abusive that I wouldn't let him take care of a goldfish. In any event, Mr. Ortiz, you get no money from her. Nothing. You have to have a good moral character. First of all, you live together with her as a family, despite the fact that you chose not to get married. Why, I will never know. If you made 3 children, is there any reason why you didn't get married?
Yes, Your Honor, there's a big
What is
reason.
that?
It's a long story from the very beginning. When she got pregnant, she was not living with me. You know, we were having an affair together.
Why don't you tell me why you didn't get married after your 2nd child was born?
Because that was the reason. She was not living with me when she got pregnant with the 2nd child.
What about with the 3rd one?
With the 3rd one, because she wanted an abortion, she never wanted to do nothing with me.
So you mean you asked her to marry you and she said no?
I never asked her to marry me.
You wanted her to ask you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
My dear Mr. Ortiz, Bird didn't make your 5 children. You made your 5 children. If you can't afford to support 5 children, you don't make 5 children. Period.
And later today,
Miss Brooks says there was a terrible storm, and when she came down to check on
the dog,
she also checked on the
equipment,
and she doesn't know anything about anything. Correct.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jose Ortiz says his ex-girlfriend, Mary Palacios, owes for the cost of a trip to Disneyland. Mary says Jose doesn't pay child support for their 3 kids.
What do you want? Medical bills?
Yeah, at least half of the medical bills and reimbursement for everything he kept. Because when I left him with only what I had and a few change of clothes for my children.
Tell me why.
Because I was already afraid of him, and I had it already. I got fed up. And when I asked him that I wanted the rest of my clothing, he told me that it was his property, that I had no right going back to his property. So I never went back. Only one time I went back with 2 sheriffs who escorted me in order to keep the peace. The only thing I ended up getting out of there as well was a few more changes of clothes, but I didn't get all of them. He kept the majority of them. But I left
of
them
your
because,
clothes?
Yeah, of my clothing. And I've seen
Where's
him
her
wear
clothing?
a few of my pants.
The only thing I have is this that she left on my card. That's it.
I'm sorry, that is a lie.
Just a second. Now tell me about the furniture. Did you keep all the furniture?
Yes, I do have all the furniture, Your Honor.
Who purchased it?
I did, Your Honor.
And what about her?
She didn't purchase nothing.
What was she doing?
Just home.
She was home taking care of?
The children. She didn't want to work. She put many excuses. Who's going to pay babysitting? I'll probably get the minimum wage. And then whatever I will be making, I will be spending on child care. That's what she told me.
And?
And she never wanted to work.
Okay. Listen to me very carefully, madam. You have no claim for furniture unless you can demonstrate to me that you paid for it. Because the two of you were not married for whatever reason. When you're not married, there is no court that's going to say that we're going to equitably distribute this property. And as far as the medical bills for the birth of one of the children, your family court action that settles the issue of support should also settle the issue of medical bills, because he is required by law, once paternity is established, to go back and pay, in addition to his child support, the birthing costs of the children. Do you understand that?
When we went to family law, I went to Child Support Services, and I asked them if there's somehow that they can make him pay for the rest of this, because I've already paid for like half of it.
Let me say it. And they said what?
They told me what I needed was a court order stating that he is...
the father?
Actually saying that he does have to pay half of it.
Your Honor, she's claiming two bills. I have paid the one for Brea. The other one is from abortion that she had in the year 2000.
Is that true?
I've never had an abortion. No, when we went to family law, he also signed his own stipulation saying that he would agree to pay half of it.
Oh, he did?
Yes. Only I didn't sign it because what he wanted me to agree on was joint custody, and that I didn't think was right because they needed to be somewhere where, a stable home, not just
Well,
jumping.
nobody's going to give him custody of the children if you say he's abusive, and you can establish that.
Your Honor, I have joint custody, physical and legally, with my child.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Show
Not
me.
anymore.
I don't have the court order with me, but I do have joint custody, physical and legal, with my child.
Well, when are the children with you, sir?
They were Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That way she can have the weekend.
Is that right?
No, it's going to change now because he was found to be mentally unstable in family law, and also that it was founded that he was very controlling and abusive in our relationship. And now what he's going to get from now on is supervised visitation, Saturdays from 10 to 2, Sundays 10 to 2, and it has to be supervised.
Is that correct, sir? I just want to know what the current order is. Is it for supervised visitation or is it 4 days a week?
It's current until the order kick in.
When was the last time you saw your children, sir?
Last week.
When did you see them?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And they stayed at your house?
Correct.
Do you have a copy of this order
It's
for
not
supervised?
in yet because it just went through October 10th, and it's not in yet.
Was he present?
Yes, he was.
Were you present when the court issued a ruling?
No, the ruling that the judge made it on the 11th this month. And I was on court hearing on the 10th because I want custody of my child that she's been abusing so much.
All right. When are they supposed to give you an order with regard to the child support?
I have an appointment October 28th to determine who's going to have to pay and how much.
Okay, fine. So I'm not making
Your
any
Honor,
order.
I have a court hearing yesterday for one of my childs, and my child support with my daughter was dropped to 0 because I can afford the payments. Also, I've been using my credit card to pay for some of the stuff that my child needs.
Sir, I would suggest that what you do is you find another way of making a living. Did you walk into the courtroom today?
Yes, I
did. Did you walk into the courtroom today?
Yes, I did.
Have you been standing there for 20 minutes?
Yes, I do.
You haven't been using crutches or a cane. You've been standing there. You're going to turn around and walk out? And you're speaking. Is that right?
Yes, that's
Then what you have to do is to find a job, sir, that doesn't require the use of your back if your back hurts you. You have to find another way of earning a living.
I just got my license permits from the California. I'm
For
going
what?
to start to sell computers. I haven't even started my business. I have my permit, my state.
Oh, so you're going to start a business?
I'm going to start my own business, yes. Your Honor.
Good. You mean instead of getting a job so
Yes,
that she
Your
can
Honor,
attach your
because
salary? Are these the only 3 children that you have?
I have 5 children, Your Honor.
Where are your other 2 children, sir?
The other one is over there on the same town where I live. One of them is right here on LA.
How old are they?
The oldest one is 10 years old. The other one is 8 years old.
You send their mother's child support?
Yes, Your Honor.
When was the last time you sent money for those 2 children?
On my last paycheck that I got.
Which was when?
I believe it was like on the 15th.
Of what?
Of this month.
You told me you didn't get a paycheck. You told me you haven't been working in a year.
Yes, Your Honor, but my sole income is the permanent disability that I'm collecting right now, and they basing my child support on that. And then she's expecting me to pay child support too on top of supporting my other 2 children.
Listen, my dear Mr. Ortiz, Bird didn't make your 5 children. These 2 gentlemen didn't make your 5 children. You made your 5 children. If you can't afford to support 5 children, you don't make 5 children. Period. End of discussion. He supports his children. I support my children. We don't want to support your children. And if you can't support 5, you don't have 5. You have 1.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jose Ortiz says his ex-girlfriend, Mary Palacios, owes for the cost of a trip to Disneyland. Mary says Jose doesn't pay child support for their 3 kids.
Mr. Ortiz, you get 0 from this lady. And madam, start life afresh. You have 4 children. Hopefully you can get some child support from him because you are not blameless in this whole thing either.
Yeah.
You know, you had 1 child, then you had 3 more with him. Bum, bada bum, bada bum, right? You're not married. How old are you?
25.
25. Not smart. Not smart. You have certain responsibility.
Yes, I know.
So, and you brought your troubles home to your mother because she didn't anticipate having to start rearing children now, I'm sure, at her stage in life.
That's true.
What you have to do is you have to realize you made a mistake, put a period, and move on. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Good. Goodbye, folks.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He can't control me anymore. That's it. That's the bottom line.
Then with you, because you just have money, you don't have money to throw you away.
I was always too afraid to have him arrested because he always told me if I did have him arrested, he'd bring me down with him.
She put me like a boogeyman. Boo!
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Snyder versus Brooks. Step forward, please.
25-year-old hairstylist Jamie Ginsburg Schneider and her husband, Richard Schneider, are suing their neighbor, insurance agent Aaron Brooks, for destroying their entertainment system. The Schneiders say Aaron was watching their home while they were on vacation.
Mr. Schneider, the defendant is a neighbor of yours.
That's correct, ma'am.
And according to your complaint, you went away on vacation. Is this your wife?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had a house sitter there to take care of your dogs, and the defendant volunteered also to check on the dogs in the evening.
That's
She
correct.
had a key to your apartment. According to you, when you came a time when you discovered that some entertainment equipment was either damaged and or missing, or was substantial loss on your part for this entertainment equipment, some sort of game station, television receiver. Ms. Brooks says that there was a terrible storm. And when she came down to check on
the
dogs, she also checked on the
equipment, lights, everything.
And she found that the equipment wasn't working, so she took it up to her house, right?
Correct.
To do something with it. And she immediately, when questioned about it, put it back, and she doesn't know anything, right?
Correct.
Can I see the estimates for the damage?
Yes, ma'am. The first one is the original receipt for the game center. That was the replacement receipt, and this next.
Just give me what it cost to replace it.
I believe the totals came to about $1,533. The game station was $213.
Right.
A television $250, and for the replacement home theater it came to $770.91.
What's the home theater?
That includes a home theater receiver as well as speakers, speaker wire.
Well, was all that destroyed?
No, ma'am, it wasn't destroyed. However, the speakers that went with the original one were incompatible with the newer model to replace that actual home theater receiver, so they needed to be purchased in order to work with the new receiver.
So my question to you, Ms. Brooks, is you had an agreement that you would come in the evening and check on the dogs. Is that right?
Yes.
What were you thinking about putting your hands on any of their equipment?
Well, we went in, Candace would watch TV there every night. I would go in and sit with the dog there and bring it up to my apartment.
Bring what up to your apartment?
The dog.
So you brought the dog up to your apartment. It's not what I asked you. You took entertainment equipment from their house to your house, and I'm asking you why.
Well, because all the lights were out and nothing was working in the apartment, and
So?
same thing in mine. So I did check their stuff. The Xbox would not come on. Everything else did.
Why did you take it to your apartment?
I wanted to see if it would work up there. I did not know what was wrong, and I just checked
Well,
it.
they didn't ask you to do that.
Well, I know that, but I took it upon myself to do that. There was other people in the apartment. 3 other people had keys.
That's okay.
It was 2
Just a second. I don't care. Other people did not take equipment. I mean, that's burglary. Madam, you had no permission to do that. You had limited permission. Your limited permission was to enter the house to look after the dogs. You had no permission to check the equipment. You had no permission to touch the equipment. No permission to remove it from the armoire where it had been housed. No permission to take it up to your apartment. No permission to try to see if it worked in your apartment. You had no permission to do that.
Your
That's
Honor.
burglary. What?
Ms. Brooks also told us when we got home and noticed all the damage, that she was entertaining friends the night that she took the equipment out of the house, and she did not want to bring the friends into our apartment for fear of something happening. So she decided to take the stuff upstairs to her house. That way they could use it in her apartment instead of being in ours.
And you had this conversation with her?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, what?
I did tell her that.
Why did you tell her that?
Because I was honest with her when I called her, and she
So then
called
why
me.
did you just give me this story that you didn't take the stuff up there, you just took it up to see if it worked in your apartment?
I did. Well, we did have people over there. We
So
lived
you were
down there
playing
together.
with the equipment?
Yeah, we used it.
An idiot. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,233. That's all.
Yeah, this is case number 1 on the calendar in the matter of Walker versus Noble. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Mr. Walker, you and the defendant leased an apartment together. It is your claim that the defendant locked you out, she kept some of your property, and in addition, she showed around a private letter which caused you embarrassment.
Yeah.
The defendant says that you, in fact, broke the lease to the apartment. She is countersuing for your share of 4 months' rent. She said that she did not lock you out of the apartment. So when did you sign this lease?
It was September 22nd of 2001.
And how did you know the defendant?
I used to work with her, and we were friends.
So tell me when this problem started, around Christmas time?
It was around Christmas time, December 21st of 2001. I had received a phone call, 3 o'clock in the morning, from my mother, stating that she was sick, and that she wanted me to come down there to be with her.
Where does she live?
She lives in Virginia.
Where is this apartment that you were living in?
It's in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
The only thing I took with me was my clothes. A few days later, my mom got better, so I was going to come home, and I received a phone call from Josie stating that I am no longer allowed in the house because she thought I moved out.
How many days later?
It had to have been like 4 or 5.
In the month of December?
In the month of December.
No.
Okay. Had you paid your share of December's rent?
Yes, I was paid up until January.
None of that is true at
Just
all.
a second, I'm going to get to you in a minute. All right, how much was rent?
It was $240. I paid $240 a month.
Josie, give me your version of what happened.
Let's see, December 20th, I spoke to him on the phone, and I asked him if he had his share of the rent money. And the whole month, I was letting him go with just giving me $40 a week, and we'll just take it up from there, and he'd make it up to me at the end of the month. And when I talked to him, he said that he spent his share on presents. And I never once said that he could never come back to the apartment.
Let's just get to, you're getting ahead of yourself. You're getting ahead of yourself. Now, what happened? He said he left December 21st. What happened?
He left in the night. I never heard a phone ring at 3 a.m. I would have woken up. He would have woken up.
Well, who's he?
He is my my ex-boyfriend. He was there at the time.
Okay, I don't care whether you heard a phone or you didn't hear a phone. You woke up December 21st, and
I woke up. Well, he woke up to go wake Jamie up to go to work, and he found this note that Jamie left.
Can I see it, please?
That is not my writing.
Oh my God.
I have very sloppy writing. That is not my writing.
Do you have any other writing of the?
I have the copy of the lease that he signed, and I don't know about that.
Well, but he's printing this.
There should be a signature one right above my
I see.
signature.
Oh, I see. Yes, you're right. I think you wrote this.
Not right.
I think you wrote this, Mr. Walker. I'm just looking at the way you not only signed your name here, but printed it on your lease. It's exactly the same as the printing on this. Yes, it is. Okay. So you left.
Yes.
What items do you claim that Miss Noble kept of yours?
Well, she has a computer.
Well, you wrote here the computer is yours too. You can have my last paycheck. Give this to Dawn as proof. And you also wrote the computer is yours too.
I did not give her the computer.
Well, that's what you wrote, sir.
But I didn't write that, I'm saying.
Oh, I think you did.
Well, she has a desk of mine too. A bed. She has some books, CDs.
And when did you try to get back into the apartment, Mr. Walker?
It was right after I got back.
Okay. And you're on the lease?
Yes, I am.
Then you should have been let back into the apartment. Did you go to the police?
No, I didn't know I could.
course you did. If you have a lease to an apartment, you're on the lease.
The landlord wouldn't let me back in there either.
No, you go to the police. Put your hand down. I didn't ask for you. You know that you can go to the police if you're locked out of your apartment. Come.
And they had the locks changed too.
So what? The police go, they knock at the door, they say he has a lease to the apartment, he has the absolute right to be here, to be to the apartment. You were ready to go home in a couple of days. You go home. So I don't believe you, sir.
He didn't go to Virginia. I have a receipt from my cousin who sent him money while he was in York, PA. I
don't care where he went. I don't believe him. You want to tell me the second part of your lawsuit, sir? Second part of your lawsuit is about a letter.
Yes. Miss Noble had gone through my room with all my stuff, and she had found a personal letter of mine, and she had given it to one of our co-workers, and in which in turn that co-worker had took that letter and spread it around work and customers too.
Tell me about that letter.
After he left that note, we waited a little while. He cleaned out the room, Jamie's room, and we found this little red binder that said, "Don't go through it." So we're going to go through it.
Of course.
And he found the letter, handed it to me, I read it, got a kick out of it, and the girl that I showed, he was going around saying that he slept with her, telling nasty stories about her, and it's like, she wasn't my best friend, but she was like a coworker, and it's affecting her reputation. So we invited her over, we showed her the letter, she said, "Can I keep it?" And I didn't care. And she kept it, gave it back, I don't know what I did.
That's why, Mr. Walker, if you honestly wanted to get back into your apartment, and I don't know where you went, because you had valuable things in there, things that you didn't want shown around, that's why you go to the police and you get all your stuff. When, for the first time, did you decide to get back your stuff?
It was right after I got back.
No.
Which was what month?
December.
In December?
Mm-hmm.
So what did you do?
I called her and
So
I
what
said,
did you do? Did you go to court in December? Did you go to court in January or February? What'd you do?
No, I waited because she said she was going to take me to court first. And I never got anything back, so I filed the case.
Why should you? Listen to me.
Because she said she was going to.
Mr. Walker, you're not an unintelligent person, are you?
No.
You're locked out of your apartment, you go to the police, you say, "I have to get my stuff, my computer, my private stuff." I went away in the middle of the night to help take care of my ailing mother.
He was never locked out. I didn't get the locks changed until about a month ago.
Not even, like 2 weeks ago.
What happened was he left a note in my mailbox telling me to call him on a cell phone number, and I told him, "Why don't you just give me like $500 and I won't go to the cops and I won't go do all this stuff so I can get the rest of my money back, because I really wanted to avoid this."
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Doesn't give her the right to spread it around work. That's my personal information.
I showed a girl that you lied about.
And later today,
Show me. Well, what do you think you were coming here for? Waltz lessons?
No.
Show me where you had paid off the bills.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jamie Walker says former roommate Josie Noble owes for the return of his belongings. Jamie also says Josie defamed his character.
Go ahead.
May I say something to that?
Who are you?
I'm Sarah, Jamie's friend. He's staying with me at the current moment.
Sure.
On the date that Miss Noble is talking about, when she had called, it is my cellular phone. She was really rude to me, ranting and raving about different things, saying that she was going to harm Jamie and that she was going to have people after him.
What did she say she wanted?
She wanted to talk to him. She wanted to talk to him now, and I said, well, he's unavailable at this moment. He had called her back, and they had talked about it for a couple hours, and
I was at work for a couple hours.
It was like an hour, approximately an hour.
Yes.
They had worked out to where she had said that he could not come get his things. She had also called me before on my cellular phone telling me that, wondering where he was at, and told me that he was not allowed to get his things and that they were hers now.
That was not what was said on the phone at all. At all. I called there and...
Whatever. I don't know what this letter said. I don't have this letter, unless somebody has a copy of the letter. Do you have a copy of the letter?
I have proof that it was about, what it entailed.
And it was left in your house?
It was left in the apartment, yes.
Right. Which I find that you left.
But that doesn't give her the right to spread it around work.
No,
That's my personal information. May I say something?
I showed a girl that you lied about.
You may not. It doesn't lend anything. Neither did her statement lend anything, but I thought maybe it might.
I was there a lot, like around through everything that happened, so.
Spare me, will you please? He is suing for the following: for the return of his property. What personal property? A computer?
A computer.
A desk?
A desk. A
You have his
bed.
desk?
He doesn't have a desk. All there was a little nightstand thing.
It's a stand.
And a bed. And a couple books were left.
Fine. Where are those things?
The stand is still in the apartment, the bed is still in the apartment, and the books are still there.
Great.
I have my
Great.
videos too, and my CDs.
What about his movies?
There are no CDs. There's probably like 2 movies I think I still might have, but
15.
no CDs. Not in.
Okay. So what I'd like you to do is get the boyfriend to help you pack up his bed, his little nightstand, his books, and his videos. Pack them up. Put them out on the front of the house 5 days from today's date. He has 3 hours, from 12 to 3. If you're not there between 12 and 3 to get your bed, your nightstand, your books, and your videos, she has the right to get rid of them. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now let's get to the issue of the rent.
Okay.
You left the premises, and I find that you had no reason to leave the premises. Even if she locked you out, you had the right to get back in there, and I don't find that she locked you out of the residence. So from the time you left in December until the time she found a roommate, you are responsible for half your rent.
Can I say something on that?
Yes.
Her ex-boyfriend now, he was living with us from the time that he moved, or that we moved into the apartment, until the time that I left. And after that, I know he was still staying there, as I know of.
When you moved in September, was he living there?
Yes.
So that you knew he was living there?
Yes.
So?
But
that was your arrangement in September. He didn't move in afterwards, right?
Right.
So stop complaining. You have to pay until she... Who was your new roommate?
She just recently moved out. She was my cousin's cousin.
And how many months did she live there?
4 months.
When did she move in?
Or 3 months.
When did she move in? I don't need her name.
March.
So the month of January and February, is that right? He wasn't there, and then you had a roommate in March. Is that right?
Because he was gone for 4 months before I got her to move in.
Doesn't sound right. $480 is what you owe her. Do you understand?
Yes.
However, we're holding the $480 until you get your property, which is going to be on the order. Do you understand?
I think she might have only been there for 2 months, or...
Fine.
So
that's still only 2 months. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. I don't care whether you agree with it or not. Do you understand it? That's all.
But he was...
maybe I shouldn't have went to go visit my mother.
He's such a liar, and so is she. Nothing but a bunch of little lies, and I'm so glad that they're out of my life.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Fair versus Wharton, step forward, please.
21-year-old bank representative Jessica Fair is suing her ex-fiancé, 23-year-old medical equipment repairman Neil Wharton, for his share of a joint loan. Neil is countersuing for a lost engagement ring.
Miss Fair, you and the defendant were engaged to be married, and there came a time when you and the defendant became inundated with bills, credit card bills, etc. So you went to your mother,
Yes.
and you asked if she could help you out with a loan,
Yes.
so that you could clear up all of your debts, and you would pay her back.
Yes.
You and the defendant would pay her back. Is that right?
Yes.
And your mother gave you $8,000.
Yes.
Then you and the defendant broke up, and the engagement was off. Now, you're not seeking half the money from the defendant, but according to you, you're seeking only the amount of money that was attributed to his bills, his personal bills that were paid off from this loan from your mother.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes.
Mr. Wharton says that there was never an agreement with him and your mother for this loan. So far, is that right, Mr. Wharton? And he is counterclaiming for the value of the engagement ring, which he says was never returned to him.
Yes, ma'am.
Who was present when the discussion of the loan came up with your mother?
There was numerous discussions of the loan. There was a point where all three of us had been there.
Do you remember discussions about this loan to pay off your bills?
No. She had told me that she was going to seek help for her bills from her mother. I didn't know anything that had anything to do with mine. But as far as us, all three of us sitting in a room together, no.
Did you have substantial credit card bills?
Yes.
How much?
About $3,000 worth.
Now, when Miss Fair's mother agreed to make this loan, were your $3,000 worth of bills paid off?
I do not know.
What do you mean you don't know?
Yeah, exactly that. I really don't know.
Well, you get statements from your credit card company.
No. She called the credit companies and said she was filing bankruptcy and had my mailing address and everything sent to her.
Well, did you ever pay those bills, sir, the $3,000 worth of bills?
I have been paying them off, yes.
You have been?
Yes.
Show me.
I didn't.
Show me. Well, what do you think you were coming here for? Waltz lessons?
No.
Show me where you had paid off the bills. Do you have bank statements showing me that you have paid each month towards paying down this $3,000 worth of debt?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Why not?
I don't.
You want to show me proof that you paid off his credit card bills?
Yes. On the front is a spreadsheet showing everything that he owes and account numbers linked to either him or jointly, and some pay stubs with the bank statement.
What was purchased at Samuel's Jewelers?
My first engagement ring.
What happened to that?
He has it.
Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Xerox Credit Union, is that you, sir?
It was a consolidation loan. When we split, she decided she was going to take that loan, and I was going to take a wedding loan that we took out for $5,000.
What was that used for?
It was to pay off her other ring that she got.
That's not true.
Well, what was it used to pay off?
I believe we paid the DJ, and we put a down payment on the reception hall. The consolidation loan actually paid off the ring.
Is that right, sir?
Not that I knew of. I believe it was with the MBNA wedding thing that we took out.
Have you been paying on that loan?
On the MBNA, yes, I have.
You have proof of that?
No, I don't.
Did he take over that loan, $5,000?
I am still receiving statements on my part saying that the loan is past due, so...
Are you also a co-signatory on that loan?
Yes, I am.
Oh, you in trouble. Now, Miss Fair, what happened to the second engagement ring?
The second engagement ring...
Look at me.
I'm sorry.
What happened to the second engagement ring, Miss Fair?
The second engagement ring was purchased in April 27th, 2 days before my birthday. We financed it jointly, and I paid that with the consolidation loan.
So I'm asking you where the engagement ring is.
I lost it. I don't have it.
I'm not sure if I believe that, Miss Fair, so you better tell me the truth. I'm going to give you one more opportunity. If you have an expensive piece of jewelry, what you usually do is you insure it. So you want to tell me where it is?
I honestly don't have it. When we split, I was giving him back both of his rings. I gave him back the original engagement ring. I couldn't find the other one.
That's not his fault. Did you make any payments, sir, on the consolidation loan?
We were paying from a joint bank account.
Is that right?
Yes, it is.
So he actually paid for part of the ring?
Yes.
Okay. And how much was the entire ring?
I have a receipt for it. It was $2,144.63.
All right, Miss Fair, listen to me very carefully. I believe that Mr. Wharton is responsible for his own bills, and since he does not have any proof that he is currently paying off on this $3,000 credit card debt, I find that the $3,000 that you actually paid off of his credit card debt, he should be responsible for. And from that, I am deducting half of the cost of the engagement ring, which is $1,072, leaving a balance of $1,928. For that, I am issuing a judgment for the plaintiff and, of course, dismissing your counterclaim. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all.
Yeah, this is case number 331 on the calendar in the matter of Walsh Webb versus Mack. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Walsh, for some reason which you will explain to me, you were visiting the defendant. You're a neighbor of hers?
Yes.
And you had with you a backpack.
Yes.
It's your claim that you left the backpack in her house and she refuses to give it back to you.
Yes.
And within that backpack, among other things, were your girlfriend's jewelry, rings and diamonds and valuables that you alleged that you were taking to be cleaned?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So you're suing her for $2,000, the return or value of the property. The defendant says she didn't know what devil you're talking about, that you came into her apartment to use her phone, you didn't leave anything there, and she's counterclaiming because she said you and your girlfriend have been going all over town calling her a thief, among other things. How long have you been her neighbor, Mr. Walsh?
For 7 months.
Okay, and how long have you been living there, Miss Mack?
Since '98.
Is this an apartment building?
Yes.
Now, on what date do you claim you were visiting Miss Mack?
This was like the 22nd. Well, prior to this incident, I visited her several times on different occasions.
What were you visiting her for?
We were just hanging out, talking. having drinks.
You were friends?
Yes.
Did you become friends before or after you moved in?
After.
You didn't know her before?
No.
So you've known her for about 7 months?
As a matter of fact, I've been seeing her for about 7 months. I've only known her for about, I don't know, 2.5 months.
What do you mean you've been seeing her?
Seeing her as a neighbor, speaking to her as a neighbor.
Okay, but it's been 2.5 months that you've been going there occasionally and hanging out?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead. Talk to me.
On the 22nd, I was over her house. It was a Sunday.
22nd of?
September.
Go ahead.
It was a Sunday. I didn't know at the time that I had a warrant out for my arrest, which when I left her house, I got picked up on that warrant.
For what?
It was just something personal with me and my family. Something me and my family is going through. Like what? A domestic violence.
Okay. So you were arrested on the 22nd of September,
Yes.
after you left her house?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, I left my things there.
This is the day that you allege that you left this backpack there?
My backpack and my CD bag as well, yes.
Let's go step by step. You went in to visit.
Yes.
How long did you stay?
I was there for several hours.
What were you doing?
We were just hanging out talking.
And then it was time for you to leave?
No, it wasn't time for me to leave. I told her I'd be back. I stepped out for a minute.
What did you step out for?
To go home.
To go home for what?
To go home and see my family, just to go home. I had seen my daughter and I was worried about her and I went home. But in the process of me going home.
Just a second.
Yes.
How old was your daughter?
17 months.
When you left your home, or where was your daughter?
I never left home. I was always hanging out with her until I left. That's when I got arrested.
What do you mean you went to see about your daughter?
I went to go check on my daughter.
Who was with her?
Her mother.
The same mother that was having you arrested for domestic violence?
That one.
Raise your hand if that person is in the room today.
Right here. But I don't.
Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going, sir.
Basically, I went to
Basically,
jail.
I'm not getting the whole story, and I want to tell you something. When I don't get the whole story, that is not a good thing for you. So let's go. You his wife?
No.
His girlfriend, the mother of his 17-month-old?
Yes.
You were having him arrested for domestic violence, is that right?
Yes.
He's next door hanging out with the neighbor, according to him, and in his possession is a backpack containing all your jewelry. Is that right?
Yes.
And you were taking to have cleaned.
Yes.
You understand what I mean when I'm not getting the whole story? Stupid isn't written here, sir.
I had already had.
Stupid is not written here.
Oh, God.
Keep going. I love it as we make it up as we go along. So you got the jewelry that's in the backpack that you're taking to have clean that belongs to your girlfriend who was in the process of calling the police to have you arrested. Keep going. Keep going. So you go and you check up on your 17-month-old daughter, and what happened? You got arrested.
I got arrested.
Next.
I called Juanita from jail and told her that I was arrested to give my things to my mother because I knew she wouldn't give them to her.
You knew she wouldn't give them to her.
I knew she wouldn't give them to my girlfriend.
Why not?
Because she told me she wouldn't.
What do you mean she told you she wouldn't?
She told me, I'm not giving nothing to her. I'll give it to your mother or your son or somebody else.
Why is that?
Because she didn't want to give it to her.
Why?
Judge, I don't know.
Because she was afraid I was going to find out what was going on between them two.
Oh.
Anyway.
Shh.
So my mom called her.
What were you doing with her jewelry?
Like I said, I was taking to get it clean. I had it for a couple of days in my backpack, though. Okay. All right.
Get it.
It was Judge.
Go ahead.
My mom called her, talked to her. My mom told me, yeah, she said she would be willing to meet me to give me your backpack. And so when my mom did finally get back with her, she started saying she didn't know what she was talking about. I've never been to her house before, and all this started coming up.
So, keep going.
So I went and did a small claims because, I mean, a lot of my personal things was in my backpack, which I'm taking a major loss on.
What were you doing in her house?
Like I said, we've been hanging out.
You've been hanging out. Have you been intimate with her?
No.
Well, she seems to think you've been intimate.
Well, of course she's going to think that.
Of course she's going to think that. You were just hanging out. Couldn't you find someplace else to hang out? Huh?
I mean, we had just moved out there. I don't know anyone.
They were having domestic violence problems, entertaining our neighbors in the community. On the 26th, me and Miss Webb had a verbal altercation. It was me, my daughter was out there, and this lady sitting here, and several other little kids.
What was the fight about?
Because she said that he gave me his backpack. One day, I say around mid-September, he did ask me if he could use my phone because he was locked out of their house. And I had seen him coming and going. I brought my phone out to the front porch and let him use the phone. He's never been inside my house, ma'am. The night before, when we had the altercation, me and her, the next morning, I get up to go to work. I work 2 jobs. My tires were slashed. Both our tires were slashed. Both mine and Miss Webb's tires were slashed. And I have the police report right here. This is a log of my caller ID log from my phone, all the numerous of calls that I've been receiving from them, from her phone number, from the phone booth, and how many times the housing authority told me that if he can prove that I have their backpack, that he would evict me. So I'm worried about losing my housing because of a lie that he told this girl. And I had to have my phone number changed within 3 days of each other because of the calls from them.
Okay, now, Miss Webb, how long have you been with him?
5 years.
In the 5 years that you've been with him, how many times has he been in jail?
Twice.
When?
Ooh, a year ago.
For how long?
For a year.
For what?
Possession.
Of what?
Of controlled substance, marijuana.
I'll leave it with the possession of controlled substance. Okay? That I believe.
Okay.
When else was he in jail?
And domestic violence.
What does he do for a living?
At the time, he's not working.
When was the last time he had a full-time job, 9 to 5?
A month ago.
And how long did he have that job for?
About 2 weeks.
When was the last time he held a job for more than 3 months, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday?
Right before he went to jail a year ago.
So how does he support himself? Want to tell me that?
He gets a check.
He gets a check from what?
From the state.
What's the nature of his disability?
That I don't know. Mental, I don't know. You have to ask him that or to get the check.
Yo, why do you get a check?
For a mental.
For what?
Just have problems, Your Honor. But I would like to say something.
Yeah.
I do have a surprise witness that will let you know.
I'm here.
That
I'm
will
ready.
let you know.
I'm ready.
That will let you know that we've been knowing each other for some time.
Fine. Bring in the witness.
Thank you.
The person's name?
My mom, Joan Walsh.
She had a conversation with her on the phone, and at the time they had a conversation, she said she will return her items. And at the...
Bring her in.
Walsh?
Your Honor.
Just a minute.
Oh, okay.
All right, you sir.
Miss Walsh, how long do you know the defendant, Miss Mack?
I don't.
How many times have you met her?
Never.
Never seen her in person, except for today?
Never.
Did you ever speak to her on the phone?
Yes, I did.
Who called who?
She called me on the 18th of September and on the 22nd of September.
Okay, and what did she say to you on the 18th of September?
That she was a friend of my son's. She asked me, was he there? I asked her who was calling, because I'm the mother of 6 adult children. I don't answer any questions. And I asked who was calling. Oh, I'm a friend. I'm the one that he's been over my house. And at that time, she told me her name was Regina. And then the following Sunday when she called me, she said Regina again at first. But
Yes.
I let her know that I was speaking with my son on the other line. And she said, well, I just finished talking to him, and he wants me to give you his belongings. I said, what are the belongings? She told me 2 bags. And I said, okay. I said, well, can you call me back because I'm speaking with my son, and I don't know how long he can remain on the phone. And I spoke with him about 20 minutes. And when I hung up, no one else had called me, and I started 69 her back. And I let her know how I had called her. And I asked her when could we meet so I can get my son's belongings. And she told me she would call me back. And when I talked back with her, she told me that she didn't know nothing about it. That she didn't know him or anything. Was her words. Then a couple of days later, I had gotten her number, and I called her on the 25th. And I asked her...
Where did you get her number from?
From my son.
Well, I thought you said you star 69 the number.
That Sunday.
I understand that.
Yeah. that Sunday. But
Just a second, but I understand that. But that was a person who identified themselves as a person by the name of Regina.
I know, but when I clicked back over from my son,
yes,
he told me who she was, and then I told her.
He told you, but she said, or the person who called you said their name was Regina.
I know. And
twice, both times that the person called. Her name's not Regina.
I know, but what I'm saying is when I clicked back over to let my son know that she was on the other line, this is when he said, not Regina, Mom, he said Juanita. And when I clicked back over, and she just said yes, and a couple of days later, she said, oh, Regina's my friend down the road or something, you know.
Did you speak to her on the phone?
No, ma'am. Never.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He told your story. I don't believe that you're in the process of having him arrested for domestic violence and he's schlepping your jewelry to a jeweler to have it cleaned. That's the first lie. Everything else after that is downhill.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Horace Walsh is accusing neighbor Juanita Mack of stealing a backpack that contained his girlfriend's jewelry. Horace says he was taking the jewelry to get cleaned.
Okay, I'll take a look at it.
This is where she starts 69 at, the highlights when she called her.
You're talking about the September 22nd call where they don't have a full number, just a 521?
Yes.
Am I correct?
That's when I started her back. They put the little stars on there.
So they put the little stars there so that you can't tell what the number is. Is that right?
No, so I can't call her. Yes.
That's all I want to know. Am I correct? That you cannot tell, or am I reading this right? You cannot tell what number she starts 69. Is that right?
Can't tell the last 4 digits.
And then on the 25th of September,
yes,
your son gave you her number. Is that right?
No, he gave it to me on the 24th, and I called
Or
her
the
on
24th?
Yes.
Right. Thank you very much. You can have a seat.
Thank you.
Then also, can I say something?
Sure.
I have a card from the case management at the housing where we live, where he was calling the housing, and they informed me where he was and where my stuff was, because they said they have seen him come in and out her house.
You can't tell me what they said.
Well, she just...
You can't tell me what they said. That's hearsay.
Okay.
Listen to me. I don't believe his story that he had your jewelry in a backpack because he was taking it to have it cleaned. That's the first lie. Everything else after that is downhill. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Because he was taking it to be cleaned.
I don't believe it. I don't believe that you're in the process of having him arrested for domestic violence and he's schlepping your jewelry to a jeweler to have it cleaned.
But this happened some weeks ago.
What I'm telling you is I don't believe that part of his story. And he said it to me with the same straight face as he's telling me the rest of it. I don't know whether she has your property or not. How am I supposed to tell? How am I supposed to tell? His mother never saw this person. His mother never saw her. Maybe he went to somebody else's house whose name is Regina, who lives 3 doors away. How do I know that?
And then also...
And she doesn't know that either because she never met her.
But then also when we was arguing, her daughter was yelling, that's why he was over here. You should keep your man on a leash. And...
So? He told your story. He told your story. You better stop talking about her. That's not accomplishing anything. Are you living in the same place?
Yes.
Well, you know, you want to make your lives miserable or you want to make your lives reasonable?
I don't even talk to her. She the one goes out telling the neighbors what we're going through. The neighbors didn't know nothing about it until she's outside performing in front of the neighbors.
Let me ask you this question. What are you going through with him?
Nothing. With us.
With us, no, she's going around telling the neighbors
about
our situation, our case, where we're going through. We going to court and all that. So,
going to court for what?
What we're here for.
What we're here
you mean this case?
Yeah.
So you don't tell anybody that she's a thief?
We haven't said anything about her.
I haven't said anything to anybody about it.
Did you advise the housing authority that she had in fact stolen your property?
Well, the housing authority contacted me and told me where my belongings was. I didn't know nothing about it because when he left my house, that's when the police picked him up. And then that's when the housing authorities called me and told me he's been at Juanita's Mac house, because that's where he's been calling from.
How do they know? The housing authority told you that your stuff was there because she told them that, and then she denies it to the housing authority? You don't know. Listen, I don't know where your stuff is, and I don't know where your jewelry is, quite frankly. I don't know. I can't decide whether or not she has your stuff. His story doesn't make any sense to me at all. His story. Totally senseless. Doesn't have a ring of truth to it from the very beginning. So how am I supposed to take pieces of it that I don't believe and put together with pieces that I do believe to determine that she's a thief, that she took your property and won't return it? And I don't believe that in that bag was your jewelry on the way to the jeweler to have it steamed. Don't believe it. So your case is dismissed. Now, as far as your counterclaim is concerned, I have no idea whether or not she's been torturing you and harassing you. If she has been, I suggest you file a criminal complaint.
Well,
listen to me. I suggest if she has been harassing you on the telephone, that is a felony, that you file a criminal complaint. Do you understand?
Yes.
The two of you live together in the same complex. If you want to make each other's lives and your family's lives miserable, you'll continue to do so. If you file a criminal complaint, and if there is a hearing, and if either one or both of them are convicted of harassing you, you certainly have leave to come back to any small claims court and file a civil complaint. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. Good. So your counterclaim is dismissed. Goodbye.
Your Honor, case number 284 on the calendar in the matter of Samuels versus Jordan.
Thanks, Berg.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Miss Samuels, is this your current boyfriend?
Yes.
And Ms. Jordan, this is your current boyfriend?
Yes.
According to your complaint, the defendant used to date your boyfriend.
That is correct.
And because she was angry with you, or whatever, for dating this gentleman, she vandalized your car.
Yeah.
She says she didn't do it, and she is counterclaiming because she says that you harass her. Right? Could you step up for a moment? I just want to see what everybody's fighting over. Could you pick your pants up? What's your name?
Louis Castillo.
How old are you, Louis?
20.
You live at home?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Knew you were going to get it right, Louis, eventually. How long did you date Miss Jordan?
Probably for like 3 years.
Whose idea was it to break off the relationship, yours or hers?
Both of ours.
How long have you been dating Miss Samuels? She could pick up her pants, too. I don't have to look at her belly.
Probably for like 6 months.
Have you had any contact with Miss Jordan?
No.
Do you know of any reason why she didn't like Miss Samuels?
I wouldn't know.
Don't know? Have no clue. A man of few words. Have a seat. All right, so tell me about this vandalism, Miss Samuels. When did it happen?
6/25/02.
And where did it occur?
Driscoll and Paseo Padre.
Who lives there?
My friend Lisa.
So tell me what happened.
I was over at Lisa's visiting her, and she received a phone call from Barbara. She was going to come over. Well, Lisa told her no, and Barbara couldn't figure out exactly why she didn't want her to come over. So Barbara being across the street at the payphone at the gas station.
How do you know that?
It says on Lisa's caller ID, payphone, and Lisa knows the payphone across the street.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, she noticed my car being across the street.
How do you know she noticed your car?
Because she knows my car. How? I don't know.
Okay, just tell me, don't tell me what she noticed, what she saw. Just you tell me what you saw and what you heard. Okay, so she called Lisa's house. Is that right?
Yeah.
And Lisa told you not to come over.
Yeah, that time.
I mean, I'm reading your answer because your answer seems to verify that. And you went over anyway.
She called me earlier in the day and told me to come over. I said, I got to finish getting ready. And then I called her from the payphone and said I was there. She said, don't come over. And I said, okay. And then he got on the phone.
Louis?
Yes. And he said, I'm going to meet you across the street. I said, why do I need to meet you for? And then they hung up on me. So I went to her apartment and I knocked on the door.
You went to Lisa's apartment?
Yes, and I knocked on the door.
So you knew at that point that Louis was there?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear Miss Samuels there? What happened when she came over?
She was banging on the door saying for me to come out. She said, come out here, I'm going to kick your ass. Why don't you come out here?
So then, according to you, she knew you were there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And you did not come out?
No.
I see it again. Thank you. What happened next?
I received a phone call after Louis had left to get her out of there.
Louis went outside?
Yeah.
Louis, did you see her when you went outside? Louis?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You went outside. What did you see when you got outside? Just look at me. Don't make up any stories because you know what'll happen to you. I'll wipe up the floor with you.
I know.
Just tell me what you saw and what you heard when you got outside, if anything.
I seen her. Basically, I was just telling her, you know what I mean? Why are you starting trouble? You know what I mean? I'm out of here. Just get out of here. You know what I mean?
Could you try to speak clearly, you know? So you told her basically to get out?
Yeah. That, you know what I mean? It's over with.
Louis, I know that you're a nice guy. So the answer is yes.
Yes.
And what did she respond to you? Did she say anything?
Talking a bunch of garbage or whatever.
Louis, do you curse in front of your mother?
No.
Would you curse in front of the priest?
No, ma'am.
So you would have to search in your vocabulary and find other words to use, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I want you to tell me what she said to you when you told her to leave.
She was really like crying, tell you the truth. She was like crying and like tripping because she seen me.
She
like,
was crying?
Because she seen her car out there and she knew I was with her, basically.
Don't tell me what she knew. I want you to tell me what you saw. You saw her crying?
Yeah.
Did she say anything to you?
There were mostly cuss words.
That she said to you?
Yeah.
Did she finally leave?
I thought she left because my sister lives in the same apartments. And I went to my sister's house and I came back out and she was at her car.
You saw her at her car?
Yeah, because her
No,
car...
no, look at me. You actually saw her near Miss Samuel's car? Look at me.
Yeah, it's right there on the corner of Driscoll and Paseo Padre.
How close did you see her to the car? From where you are to where?
The microphone.
How long was she standing that close to the car that you saw?
15 to 20 minutes. Because I was trying to have her leave the apartment complex. I left and went in my sister's house and she was gone. But when I came back, my brother-in-law had told me that she was out there still.
Did you see her when you came out there again? Is that when you saw her at the car, or did you not actually see her at the car?
I seen her at the car.
When?
The first time.
The first time?
Yeah. As soon as we left the apartment complex.
Down, Louis. Now as clear as mud.
Fog is not lifting.
Okay, when had you parked the car there?
I would say not even a half hour before I was just there.
About a half hour before Miss Jordan came over?
Yes.
When did you see the car again?
After I was clear that she had left. I'm not about to go out there after she said she was going to kill me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How come you didn't say, I was in the car, I saw what happened, I didn't do it, somebody else did it?
I said that I was there.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Erin Samuel says her boyfriend's ex, Barbara Jordan, vandalized her car. Barbara says she didn't do it.
Did you have any further conversation with Miss Jordan?
She had called my cell phone and told me to come out and look in my car.
She called you on your cell phone?
Yeah. After
When?
the incident happened, right after she did it and left.
Okay, good. And then you went out and saw what damaged the car. Let me see it.
This is of the windshield, and the police report says how they examined the vehicle themselves and took pictures, but I don't know how to get those pictures.
What kind of car do you have?
I don't have one.
What kind of car do you drive in?
I don't.
Who's Kim?
My mom.
But your mother has a car.
Yeah. He does
Look at
too,
that. Look at that. Your mother has a car.
She's in jail, though.
Your mother has a car.
Yes.
That a witness says matched the license plate of the car that was responsible for the damage to her car.
That's true.
Ooh,
I
how
was there,
interesting.
but I did not do it.
How interesting.
The girl I was with did do it.
Really?
Yes. I didn't even know her car. I did not know nothing about her, but this girl
The
had
girl
known
who
her.
was driving the car did it?
No, not the driver.
You were the driver?
No, neither one of us were the driver. There was a third girl
Really?
involved.
So you were in the car?
Yes.
Good! How come you didn't mention that in your answer?
What?
How come you didn't say, I was in the car, I saw what happened, I didn't do it, somebody else did it?
I said that I was there.
Oh, no, you didn't.
I said that I was there, and I called from across the street on the payphone.
No, you didn't say that you were there. Listen, Barbara, you didn't say in your answer anything about being present when the vandalism occurred to her car.
I didn't get that far.
You got that far in your answer to me.
In my police report, it says
You
that
got
too.
that far in your answer to me.
My police report says that I admit that I was there, but I did not do it.
You did it as far as I'm concerned, honey. Unless you can give me a good reason why anybody else would vandalize her car.
Because the other girl knows her, and she said that she was saying things about me, and she said, how are you going to let it ride? How are you going to just let her? I'm like, I don't really care, because I broke up with him. He was in jail. I broke up with him, and I was staying with him. I don't care that they're together. I don't care about none of that. And I am not jealous of anything. Why would I care?
Tell me how you got to be in a car with somebody who vandalized her car and what this other girl had against her.
I do not know what she had against her.
I don't know either. All I know is the car
I don't have
belonged,
nothing against her.
All I know is the car belonged to your mother, who you tell me is where?
In jail.
In jail.
It has nothing to do with none of this.
All right. Tell me no more. Give me the estimates on the car, please.
The estimates on the car are on the police report. Where's the windshield? This is the restraining order.
I asked you for one thing. I said, give me the estimate on the car.
The complete and total cost is at the very last.
What year car is this?
2000.
Was the car repaired?
No.
Why not?
Don't have the money to repair it. I didn't.
There's no insurance on the car?
No.
Who owns the car free and clear?
Me now. It was just paid off recently.
When was it just paid off?
Not even a month ago, on my birthday.
Well, if it was just paid off a month ago, that means that when this happened in June, you had to keep insurance on the car because there was a money lender involved, so you had to keep insurance on the car.
But I didn't want to pay a $500 deductible that I didn't have to get the car repaired.
Just a second. I'm going to love this. You had a $500 deductible in June, is that right?
Yeah.
Of course. We're now 6 months later, and I'm asking you why you didn't have the car fixed when you had insurance instead of having a bill here for $5,000. That doesn't sound right. Where'd you expect her to get $5,000 from, madam? You're not going to get $5,000. That's what you had your insurance for. You think that I believe this whole cock and bull story that you just told me?
The key marks?
That you didn't have, no, about the repairs to the car.
I didn't have the $500 for the insurance.
Let them fix as much as they can.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now, I want you to tell me about your counterclaim, Miss Jordan. Let's hear it.
Okay, she has a restraining order on me. And on
rightfully so.
On the 11th of this month, at 5 o'clock in the morning, the same girl, Lisa, calls my house saying that she's outside. I go outside, and she's hiding in the car, too. And they give me a paper to say that they're going to sue me. I called my attorney, and I told him that she had came there, and I said, she has a restraining order on me. What can I do about it? Because he said I could go to jail because she has the 100-yard restraining order. And I went back inside, and on my answer machine was a tape of her and Lisa laughing about the whole situation. They're all, F the cops, this and that. Well, you can hear the tape.
Sure, I'd like to hear the tape. Bert, could you bring it up here? Maybe it's my here.
Okay, I'm gonna hit this. Put it in my phone. I have my phone. Talk about a fast getaway, huh? They're all laughing. Yeah, I can't. Oh my god. Oh my god. No.
Does it get better?
It's just basically how they're laughing, how they came to my house.
They're laughing. They came to your house. They served you with a small claim summons.
And she's not even supposed to be on our property.
Just a minute. You don't have a protective order against her. Is that right? Shh, listen to me carefully. Do you have a protective order against her?
Not yet. I'm in the process of getting it.
Who handed you the summons?
Lisa handed it to him.
So Lisa never served you?
No, but they were at my house at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Fine. They can be at your house at 3 o'clock in the morning.
No,
they can serve
can't.
you with a summons. Yeah. Your counterclaim is dismissed. It's not harassment. In any event, and on your claim, listen to me carefully. You should have had your car fixed when you had insurance. However, I'm not going to penalize you for stupidity any more than $4,500 worth, because I am awarding you $500, which would have been your out-of-pocket expenses had you had your car repaired when you had insurance in June, when this incident happened. Do I make myself clear?
Yeah.
Good. Goodbye.
All these are excused. You may step out.
I have papers saying that my vandalism has been dismissed, saying that I did not do it. She was seen by people in the apartment complex. They called the police before I even got out to the vehicle to call them, and the description fit her.
22-year-old waitress Diane Grove is suing 33-year-old human resource manager Cecilia Alvarado for knocking out her teeth with a beer bottle. Cecilia says she acted in self-defense.
Order. All rise. This is case number 212 on the calendar in the matter of Bro versus Alvarado. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
According to your complaint, Miss Bro, you and your boyfriend and the defendant were in a local bowling alley. According to you, the defendant liked your boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was an altercation. According to you, the defendant assaulted you by smashing a beer bottle across your face, causing several teeth to be broken and requiring a substantial amount of dental work.
Correct.
You're suing not only for the dental work, but also for your pain and suffering and lost wages. The defendant said you started it, right?
No, she started it, Your Honor.
That's just what I said.
I know.
Pay careful attention. So, when was this?
August 22nd.
Of this year?
Of this year.
And what time did this incident occur with the bottle?
About 12:15.
When did you first see the defendant in the bowling alley?
Not until after I returned from the restroom. Ryan was at the bar purchasing a beer, and he was agitated.
At what time?
About 12 o'clock.
Okay.
And I went to the bar to see what he was yelling at somebody, and there she was. I asked her, you know, are we going to have problems every time we see each other? You know, can you grow up? You're 33 years old. And she proceeded to walk away, and we got our beers. We walked over to our table where our friend was, and there she was bad-mouthing me.
Just a second. What was she saying?
She said that she's going to get me and this isn't over, and, you know, I walked up to her. I'm like, can't you understand? You know, we just had a confrontation at the bar. You walked away. She proceeded to push me. I pushed her back, and then she hit me in the mouth with a beer bottle.
Where was he?
He was still at the bar buying our beer.
Stand up. Tell me your first name.
Ryan.
How old are you, Ryan?
I'm 20.
How do you know the defendant?
From like a general circle of friends, and you know we're cool. And
what does that mean?
I mean,
cool. I don't understand.
I mean, we talk to each other. We never had problems. You know, we're somewhat friends. And then me and Diane started dating.
Did you ever go out with her
no,
socially?
No, ma'am. And me and Diane started dating, and all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, I can be so much better than Diane. You can live at my house rent free. I'll take care of you." And
had you had anything to drink before midnight?
No, ma'am.
Had your girlfriend?
No, ma'am.
Now you were at the bar. Had you finished purchasing those beers when this altercation took place?
Before I could even get them, you know, they were getting into it, and I ran over.
Just a second. While she was in the restroom, did the defendant speak to you?
Yes, ma'am.
What did she say to you?
She said, I haven't seen you for a while. What's been going on? And I told her, I was like, this is not the time. I said, Diane's here. You know, things are going to happen if, you know, you're talking to me. We already told you we don't want you in our life, so you need to go. And that's when Diane walked out of the bathroom and seen us and walked up to see what was going on.
And then she had this verbal confrontation with the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
After she had the verbal confrontation, where did the defendant go?
She walked towards the exit door where the table was, where my buddy was sitting, and Diane went to walk over there, and as she walked over there, you know, I was still standing at the bar. Then all of a sudden I seen security guards run over there. I seen them two going at it, so I ran over there. And
when you say you saw them going at it, what did you see?
I mean, like, I seen them face to face, and then I seen a struggle. That's all I seen. I didn't see the bottle or anything like that.
Now, can you describe to me your girlfriend's face?
When I seen her, her lip was busted. She's like, look what she did to me. These two teeth were broken, and this one just blood, and you know, and she was acting hysterical.
What do you mean she was acting? What did she say?
And she's like, I can't believe this is going on. I can, you know, just kept talking, working it up, and that's when the security guards pulled us off to the side and said, wait for the officer to get here.
What happened when the police arrived?
They took our statements, and then...
Do you have a police report?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it, please?
I have a police report of the incident that happened at the bar, and also of a phone harassment complaint. After we left the bar, she called and left him 4 voicemails on his pager. We called the officer and had him come back over to my house to listen to the voicemail.
Okay. All right, Miss Alvarado, now let me have your version of the events.
Okay. My friend and my witness, Tanya, was with me. I was upstairs shooting pool, having a good time with my friends, and I was just done with my beer, and Tanya said, can you go down and get some more beer? And I was like, sure. I also have to go to the bathroom. I go downstairs, and I see Ryan off, not in the bar, he was off on the concession stand, standing there, and he turns to me and says, oh, hey, Cecilia, what's up? I never approached him, Your Honor. Okay.
Tell me what happened. Not what you didn't do, what you did do.
Okay. And so then he says, I just want to warn you that Diane is here, and she's wants to kick your. And
can I just
I then said, you know, I'm so tired of this, of her approaching me. I'm 33 years old. I have, you know, a good job, and I was harassed at work by her, and Ryan used to call me also at work. He would tell me to call him. Here's my pager, Cecilia. Here's my cell number. Call me. And no, and it's true.
Just talk to me, not to her.
Okay, well, anyway, and you know, I'm really upset about this because I have a good job, and I have the sheriff come.
I heard that you have a good job.
Okay.
You're 33 years old. He's
Right.
20.
No, Your Honor, he told me.
Just a second. But you're 33. He's 20.
Your Honor, I was led to believe that he was 22.
22. Okay.
What does the age matter? I was stuck in a
Let's
situation.
go what happened to 822.
Okay. Well, as I turned around, there's Diane right in my face, and she just says, "What the?" Excuse my language, but she was like, "What the whatever?" And I'm like, you know, I don't want any problems with you. I had my beer bottle. I had just a little bit of beer in it. I had it in my hand, and I have a scar, permanent scar, on my arm where she grabbed me, pulled me forward, and goes to hit me with the beer bottle over my head. And in the police report, it doesn't even state that I had also blood and a welt on my head.
It doesn't say that, madam.
Exactly.
It does, no, listen to me. It doesn't say that. If the police who took this report were very clear, Miss Alvarado, they observed, according to them, a large welt on your hand.
Exactly.
If you had had blood in your scalp and a large welt in your scalp that you pointed out to them, they would have...
I did.
Why don't you let me finish?
Okay, I'm sorry, but...
They would have included that in the police report.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When did you find out he was 20 years old?
Today.
So now you know. You know that he's a baby and you're not.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 22-year-old waitress Diane Grove is suing 33-year-old human resource manager Cecilia Alvarado for knocking out her teeth with a beer bottle.
So let's continue.
I stepped back, and it was just self-defense. After I had my hand like this, and her beer bottle hit my hand, I was trying to protect myself. And from just a reaction of, you know, someone attacking you, what are you supposed to do? And I was scared. I just closed my eyes and went like that. I didn't even realize I had hit her that hard, Your Honor. I would never have struck her. I felt bad after the incident. I was crying. Yes, I was hysterical because I was having a good time on a Monday night with my friends. She approached me, Your Honor. This isn't the first time she's, you know, antagonized me. Okay, and those harassment calls, they've harassed me, and they even threatened me as I was leaving, and my witness was with me in the car, and I was holding onto my head because I was crying, shaking. Diane, Ryan, and their friend Jimmy were threatening me, saying, watch your back, look out for yourself.
Were you a witness to the event? A witness to the actual event?
Yes, I was.
Step up. Tell me your name.
My name's Tanya.
Tell me what you observed on the evening of the 22nd of August.
Well, I told Cecilia, you know, for her to go ahead and get some beers because she was going downstairs. So then I went downstairs after she did, and then I'm
For
like,
what?
to go see where she was. She was speaking with Diane, when all of a sudden I just see Diane's arm just strike right down, right on her head, and then I saw her hit her, and I didn't know if it was with the beer bottle or not. I just saw her strike her, and then after that, I just ran towards her, and then, you know, the bouncers and everybody was trying to tear them apart, and then that was it.
You went down to get more beers, right?
I went to go to the restroom also.
Okay, but you already had a beer in your hand. You told me you had a beer in your hand.
It was empty. It was almost empty.
Why don't you let me finish my...
I'm sorry. Okay.
You already said that you had a beer and that there was some left in it. Is that correct?
There was some left in it, yes.
Right. What time did you arrive at this bowling alley / pool hall?
We went to eat there first. It was around 7-ish, because we were there eating, and then we went upstairs to shoot pool.
When you were eating, did you have anything of an alcoholic nature to drink?
I had, well, we had a pitcher. That was it. And that was a pitcher of
beer.
beer. Yeah.
While you were having dinner?
With food, right.
While you were having dinner. And then you went upstairs to shoot pool?
Right.
And how much did you have to drink when you went upstairs?
It was probably about one beer.
Maybe two?
No, it was just about one beer because we were going downstairs to get more.
All right, now let's get back to you, Miss Rowe.
Okay. First of all, she said that Ryan has a cell phone. He's never had a cell phone since we've been together. The concession stand is in the bowling alley, and she says she approached me at the concession stand.
Well, you have a couple of things to explain to me, madam.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Okay? You confronted her, and I'm not excusing if what you allege happened the way you alleged it to happen. I'm not excusing that. But you confronted her twice. Not once, but twice. You sought her out. Initially, you told me you went up to her, got in her face, told her to leave you all alone, and then you followed her again. Yes, you did. You followed her again because you saw her talking to somebody at a table where you were going to be seated. According to you, this was somebody that you had had bad interaction with before. So both of those things weren't too smart. I will also tell you that the police officer, I'm going to get to her in a second, the police officer observed a fresh bruise on her hand. How do you think she got that? A large welt. How do you think she got that?
Maybe from pushing me, or, you know, when she fell back, or, you know, I pushed her back. Maybe her hand hit the table when she fell back. I don't know how she got a welt on her hand, but I didn't even have a beer. That's why Ryan was at the bar.
Just a second. So clearly there was a physical altercation between the two of you before anything happened with bottles, according to you. Is that right?
When we were at the table.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So there was a physical altercation. That must have been a pretty hard shove.
She hit me first. Was I not supposed to defend myself?
Where did she hit you first?
She pushed me in my chest, and I pushed her back.
No, okay, that's a push.
Okay.
That's not a hit.
Well,
how did she get the welt on her hand?
I'm really not sure how she got the welt on her hand.
You certainly confronted her on both occasions, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Not smart. Now, my next question to you, Miss Alvarado, is this incident is over and you're hysterical. You're all upset, right?
Right.
So what's the first thing that you do? You go to your phone and you call him.
No, I didn't.
Oh, yes, you
No,
did.
I didn't, ma'am.
Oh, well, according to the police, you did.
They threatened me as I was leaving, and
they may have threatened you. The police say that they listened to the message over the phone.
Okay.
And heard you say, Ryan, this is Cece. Remember that?
Yeah, I guess.
Why don't you tell her what we did a month ago? Does that sound familiar? My question to you is, after you're so upset and distraught, why do you continue with this by picking up the phone and calling him?
Because Your Honor, this has been going on for like 2 months. He is...
When did you find out he was 20 years old?
Ma'am...
When did you find out he was 20 years old?
Today.
So before today, you thought he was 22?
That is what he told me.
Okay, so before today, you thought he was 22. And he's got a 20-year-old girlfriend.
Well,
and you're 33 years old.
I thought she was 23.
Pay attention. So now you know. You know that he's a baby and you're not. So this terrible thing happened at the bar. Why are you continuing it by calling him on the phone?
I didn't continue calling him on the phone after this incident 4 times.
Are you telling me that this phone call the police... Are you telling me the police are making up this phone call that they heard?
I'm not.
So you did call him.
But they called me at work also to harass me, and I have
I'm not
proof
talking
of
about
that.
at work. I'm talking about immediately after this incident on the 22nd. You got home and you called him.
I called him, but I didn't call him 4 times.
I didn't say 4 times. Did
Okay,
I say 4
well,
times? They said 4
that's
times. I
what
said
I'm
once.
thinking.
Pay careful attention.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She knew I was 20.
She thought you were 22. To me, there's no difference. You're a baby when you're 20 if you're a boy, and you're a baby when you're 22 if you're a boy. And sometimes when you're 52 if you're a boy.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Diane Bro says her front teeth were knocked out during a fight with Cecilia Alvarado. The women say the fight was over a man.
Why did you call him one time when you got home?
Because I was angry. I was really upset about this whole situation.
Well, right now, you're in a situation where you caused her substantially more injury than she caused you.
And I was sorry.
You are at the
I'm
police,
sorry
so you
for
didn't call up and say, I'm sorry. You called up and said, hey, why don't you tell her what we did a month ago and all the other stuff?
Because, Your Honor, I was upset about it, because if it wasn't for him leading me on and telling me that their relationship was nothing, then I wouldn't have gone after him. I wouldn't have talked to him.
Let me see the dental reports.
May I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
I've met Cecilia before, like probably a month before Diane became my girlfriend. And, you know, the whole time, you know, she knew I was 20. All my friends know I'm 20. She
Don't tell me what she knows.
Okay.
Did you?
And
she thought you were 22. To me, there's
Okay.
no difference. You're a baby when you're 20 if you're a boy. You're a baby when you're 22 if you're a boy. And sometimes when you're 52
She called
if
me
you're a boy.
nonstop. She called me at my place of employment. They told me at work that if she continues on calling, they're going to write me up because she called me nonstop.
She's a little fanatic.
Yeah, and she called my house nonstop, paged me nonstop.
Ryan, pay careful attention. She may be a little bit of a nut.
Yes.
We all are.
And I don't know, and I'm not interested in knowing what happened a month before.
Okay.
You know, and she knows. Maybe your girlfriend doesn't know, but you know, and she knows. She should have been smart enough when she figured out how old you were and that you're a baby to back off and find somebody that's more age appropriate, because there is no difference between 20 and 22. You got to find somebody who's 35, because this is not an appropriate match for you. A 20-year-old doesn't lead on a 33-year-old if they have any brains.
And me and Diane have also told her, you know, together that we don't want nothing to do with her if she's going to continue on like this. You know, me and Diane sat there and told her to leave us alone.
Try Diane and I.
Okay, Diane and I.
I just had to do that. Just,
sorry.
You understand?
Your Honor.
I understand.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You're supposed to be a mature adult. You're 33 years old.
Your Honor, she hit me over the head. What was I supposed to do?
I don't believe she, listen to me. I don't believe she hit you over the head.
Yes, she...
No, listen to me. I believe she pushed you. I believe you pushed her. I
How
believe
did-
you shoved her. I believe all of those things, but I do not believe that she hit you over the head with a beer bottle and that you had blood in a bump, because if you did, the police would have memorialized that in a very, I'm speaking, don't look pained to me, in a very detailed police report. I believe that. Now, I don't believe that you are blameless. I believe that you were involved with this incident and that you should not have confronted her. Your actual out-of-pocket expenses are $41.82.
I did miss 4 days of work.
Listen to me.
Okay.
You have to find that you are somewhat responsible for what happened. Because if you had stayed away from her, it wouldn't have happened. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
He's a big boy. If he wants to tell her to stay out of his life, he can do that. If he wanted to be stupid enough a month ago to do whatever he did a month ago that he hasn't shared with you, right? That's something that he's going to have to deal with if he acted like a fool. But you didn't have to go to her twice, especially since she had had a lot to drink that night. She got there at 7 o'clock. They had a couple of pitchers of beer, not just one.
No,
they
no.
drank. I'm speaking. I'm not stupid. I've lived a long time. I've lived longer than 33 years. Okay? You got there at 7, and this was 12 o'clock at night. You already had one beer bottle in your hand, right? You were down to get another one, and I assure you that that was not the first one that you consumed while you were upstairs playing pool. And you also consumed beer while you were having dinner, according to you, one pitcher. In any event, you're going to pay for her dental work. She's going to pay for her pain and suffering and for her missed work. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,182. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
She had threw me over a table at another bar, and I did nothing about it.
The woman's crazy. It's like a fatal attraction case. I picture her breaking into my house, hiding in my closet, and watching us have sex. That's how crazy she is.
I don't know if I trust guys anymore.
Call her Psycho C back home.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of D'Antuono versus Holdren. Step forward, please.
26-year-old hairstylist Stephanie D'Antuono is suing her ex-boyfriend, personal trainer Thaddeus Holdren, for an unpaid loan to buy a car. Thaddeus says the money didn't become a loan until they broke up.
Mr. D'Antuono, I've read your complaint. You claim a loan to the defendant, who was your live-in boyfriend for a period of time. Is that right?
Yes.
It was a loan for a car?
Correct.
And any other expenses?
Yes, for work that needed to be done on the car.
Mr. Holdren said there was never a loan. His position is that he played the role of house husband.
Yes.
That you have a child that he took care of, and he was a personal trainer. He gave up some time in order to be able to accommodate your schedule, and there was never talk of a loan until the two of you separated. So when did you start to live together?
We began to live together only after I had given him the loan. It was
in August.
Tell me about the loan.
Thaddeus approached me about loaning him some money for a car that he wanted to buy. I had the funds to help him out, and we discussed it in detail. What
were the details?
How he had to pay me back. There was no confusion as far as...
Well, no, don't tell me there was no confusion. Just tell me what the agreement was. You said it was very specific, so tell me the agreement.
I agreed to loan him the money if he agreed to pay me back in full.
Is that as specific as it went?
Pretty much, yes.
Go ahead.
He agreed to pay me within a certain amount of time.
Well, that's more specific. What was the amount of time?
A couple of months.
Okay.
And when he didn't, he told me he was having some problems and wasn't going to be able to pay me at that certain time. So I was upset, but I agreed to allow him more time if he would give me payments. Whenever he had money, if he could give me some cash or, you know, whatever he was able to do.
So?
So he didn't. He failed to pay me.
When did you move in with him?
He moved in with me.
When did he move in with you?
That was about a year later.
So 1 year later, he's made no payments on this loan, and then you move in together.
Well, he...
Just answer my
I'm
question.
sorry. Yes, that's right.
Okay. And you lived together for a year?
No, we did not. We only lived together for about 2.5 months.
Your Honor, I lived with her longer than that.
He was at my house on a regular basis, but he did not live there.
Fine. When did that start?
Probably around the time that I gave him the loan. You know, he was staying there maybe a couple nights a week.
More than a couple nights, Your Honor.
That's not correct.
It's over 2 years since this loan was made.
Yes.
And over that period, you have not gotten any payments.
He did pay me $150.
When?
In April of 2001.
Is that right, sir?
I don't know if it was 2001, but I paid her $150. But that's not including everything I did for her and her son. You know,
What did you give her $150 for, Mr. Holdren?
Because, I mean, if I'm with her, or living with her, whatever, I expect to do something, you know. I mean, taking care of her son and taking care of stuff around the house and stuff.
That doesn't answer my question, Mr. Holdren. What was the $150 for?
Just for her.
Well, tell me how that came about, the $150 payment.
She gave me the money and things happened. Hold on.
Mr. Holdren, you're trying to think about the right answer. I don't want you to think about the right answer, sir. I want you to think about the truthful answer. You said to me, I gave her $150 when I asked you what it was for. You did a song and dance. Now I'm asking you the circumstances surrounding you giving her this $150 in March.
Well,
if you say I don't remember what it was for or the surrounding circumstances around it, I will understand that.
Well, I gave her money a couple times, so the $150 is like me giving her money on a regular. I mean, not on a regular, but I gave her money, you know, like any other boyfriend would do. It wasn't like I was giving her $2,000 or you know what I'm saying, like big money, but
Do you remember the circumstances surrounding the $150 payment? The answer is either yes or no.
Yes.
Then tell me what they were.
It was payment for money that I loaned.
That's not what I asked you. That is the conclusion.
The circumstances?
If you don't remember, say I don't remember. Remember that I will test you. If you don't remember, say it. If you remember, tell me.
I don't remember.
Did he give you any other money during the course of your relationship over the last 2 years?
He paid me $100 after our relationship had ended. This was this past April.
What was the $100 for?
For payment from the loan that I gave him.
Did you give her $100 after you separated?
Yes.
For what?
That was for part of her thinking that I owed her all that money. So $100.
That was
part of me owing her the money.
That was part of her thinking that you owed her the money from the loan?
Right.
Oh, good, that makes it easier. So you did, Mr. Holdren, make a payment to her for this $2,000 loan.
Right.
And you made at least one payment. Is that right?
Right.
And that was made within the past year or so?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to allow you in 30 seconds or less, Mr. Holdren, explain to me why this was not a loan and you don't owe her any money.
Okay, I'll start off with this. We made an agreement when we met. Well, after we met, she has a son. He's 4. Well, he was 4 at the time. And her job is very demanding, and she has different hours every day, like early in the morning sometimes and late in the evening sometimes. And her son goes to school early in the morning. She couldn't take him to school, so I would take him to school, get him up, get him dressed, pick him up from daycare, bring him back with me, and wait till she gets off, and he'd hang out with me, whatever, for the period of time, whatever day it was.
So I'm listening. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I did everything. I was like a kindergarten cop with him. This whole thing to me is just like she was pimping me through the whole thing. Like, you know, she's my female pimp.
That's a nasty thing to say.
That's how it was, because I was doing everything, but she still just seemed like I owed her this whole $2,500.
Well, let me ask you this question, Mr. Holdren. How much rent did you pay?
I didn't pay rent at her house.
How much did you contribute on a regular basis for food for the house?
Depending if I went out to eat or...
No, in the house.
Little.
How much did you contribute regularly towards the utilities?
None.
So you were basically living rent-free. You had no expenses.
Your Honor, I have my own apartment too.
Where is your apartment?
At the time it was on the other side of town from where she lived at, on the west side.
Which side is nicer? Her side.
Yeah.
Mr. Holdren, anything else you want to tell me, sir?
I just felt like I don't owe her the whole $2,500. I mean...
So you don't think you owe her the whole $2,500?
Right.
Tell me what part of the $2,500 you think you owe her?
It would really be hard to say because...
Well, I want you to think hard. I mean, it was your statement that I don't owe her the whole $2,500.
I don't know, because the time that I put into the relationship, not only with her, but her son too, it was like, I couldn't really tell because I was working in the morning and in the afternoon, and my schedule was flexible because I was a trainer, so I, you know, arrange it where, you know, I could make it a better...
Mr. Holdren,
yes.
What part of the $2,500 do you think you should be given credit for, sir?
I don't know.
So I guess you'll have to leave it up to me, right?
Well, I was hoping you'll feel my side of the story as far as me taking care of her son and everything. Because
no, Mr. Holdren, I'm going to make it very, very easy for you, sir. If there is a contract that provides, even an oral one, that you loaned me this money for the car, and I'm going to work it off by taking care of your son at $1.75 an hour while I'm taking care of him, that will be my contribution, so we're going to take that off the car loan. That's an agreement. But after the fact, you don't make that sort of an agreement. You don't sit back there and scratch your head and say, well, I did all these things for her. Therefore, I shouldn't have to owe her that much on what was originally a loan. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's just a lot of double talk that you're doing for me now. $2,500 was the original loan, and you paid her $250. So judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,250. That's all.
Yeah, this is case number 290 on the calendar in the matter of Cantway versus Tyler. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Cantway, the defendant is your sister.
Yes.
According to your complaint, she has a car that belongs to you that she refuses to return, and at some point in a dispute over the use of that car, your sister assaulted you. Your sister says that the car is hers, you gave it to her, and that she never laid a hand on you. If anything, she was trying to protect you from yourself. So, Ms. Cantway, tell me how it came to be that your sister actually had possession of your car, because clearly the car is in her possession.
Yes. Last year, July 30th of last year, we decided to write up an agreement. I needed to borrow some money. I was having financial difficulties due to a personal situation, and we were going to write up the financial agreement that she was going to loan me the money and use the car. There were other circumstances behind it that she needed help.
Listen to me. Relax. You're going to have a turn to speak. Do you understand? So sometime last year, you were going to write up an agreement.
We did write up an agreement.
Can I see it, please? Now, when did you write up this agreement?
7/30/01.
And what happened? Signed this agreement that you would let her use your 1991 Toyota Tercel and keep it as collateral for $600 loan. You say the loan never came about?
No, the loan never came about.
So, what happened next?
Well, a couple of months went by. We had talked about it a little bit. The situation was good for her at that point because the car that she had been driving, she sold because it was unsafe. She did help me watch my kids, and it was a safe car for her to be able to drive around in. I did have another vehicle at the time.
Where had you gotten this car from?
My mother gave me this car.
When?
Back in 1995.
And you had another car?
At the time that my sister was using mine, yes.
What kind of car did you have?
1996 Camaro.
So what happened a year later?
Well, we had a few discussions about the car. She was perfectly aware of the situation, that the car was to be used by her, not owned by her. She knew.
Don't tell me what she knew.
Okay, well, as far as my understanding, she knew.
Just don't tell me what she knew.
In February of the following year, I told her that my Camaro is going to have to go. I'm filing bankruptcy. Well, something happened to the Camaro prior to them repoing it on the bankruptcy anyway, but either way, it was going to go. I told her I have to have the vehicle back. We discussed being able to work out terms of sharing the vehicle so that neither one of us would be without a car.
Let me ask you this question, Ms. Cantway. There came a time when you signed over the pink slip to the car to your sister.
Yeah.
When was that?
I think that was probably about a month later, maybe.
A month later when? A month later in?
From the time that we signed the agreement.
So at the end of August?
Yes.
Now, could you explain to me why you signed over the pink slip to your sister?
Because at the time, I did not have a driver's license, and in order to insure the vehicle, it was extremely expensive. The insurance
What do you mean
company,
you didn't have a driver's license? You told me that you had a...
Yeah, I had a car, but that doesn't mean I drove it.
You told me that you had another car that you were driving.
I didn't drive it. I had another car.
Why weren't you driving it?
I didn't have a license.
Why not?
I made a mistake. Something I had to pay for. Has nothing to do with the situation of why I don't have my Tercel now.
If it has anything to do with drinking, it has to do with the situation, because your sister says part of the problem was you're drinking, driving at the same time, and that the altercation that you had that resulted in you say you getting assaulted had to do with her trying to protect you and your children. So what I'm asking you is, you said you'd made a mistake that had anything to do with a DUI that you received.
Yes, ma'am, it did have to do with a DUI.
Okay. So at the time that you gave her the pink slip for the car, that allowed her to put the car in her name.
For insurance purposes.
No. No. That's prima facie evidence of a gift. If you turn over the pink slip, it says that you are now the owner of the car.
I thought I was getting a loan.
But you didn't get the loan.
I didn't get a loan. I gave her time to give me the money. She's supposedly getting a settlement. I needed the money to pay my attorney. She never got a settlement. I never got any money. So I was without my vehicle and without a loan.
So are you telling me, but for the fact that this transaction never took place, you would have sold her your car for $600?
No, collateral.
Well, let us say that she never gave you the money.
Which never happened.
You never took your collateral back because you had already
I tried.
Right.
I tried.
Okay, now let's move on. Let's move on to this assault that you allege.
July 4th, my sister I knew was going to the Baptist church with my mother for the fireworks show, so I called and said that I was going to come and use the car in order to take my children to the fireworks. I received a phone call back that I am not allowed to use the car unless I ask nicely. So I drove over to the house to find out what was wrong, what was going on. We ended up getting into an argument about the agreement, about the car. She grabbed her keys, grabbed her purse, and went down the stairs to get into the vehicle. I sat in the passenger seat and I turned it off. I said, "You're going to..."
No, just a minute. She ran downstairs and you followed her.
I walked downstairs, followed her, yes.
Go ahead.
I turned off the ignition. As I did that, she reached over, grabbed my hand, scratched up my hand right here. I threw the keys out the window as kind of just a response to being grabbed. She started to claw at me. I threw up my hands, grabbed her wrists, and asked her to stop. "What are you doing?" is what I said.
Okay, Miss Tyler, I'll hear you.
When we did the agreement, I was the one that did that. I said, "Serena, I want to give you something for the car." She said, "Look, I'll sign over the pink slip. I really don't want the money." But I went ahead and did that anyway.
No, that's not what happened, Miss Tyler. Just pay careful attention to me. That's not what happened. Not unless you can show me that the pink slip to the car was signed over on July 30th.
This was signed over on September the 14th.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Right. So it wasn't signed over on July 30th. Well, let's get your story together.
Okay. So anyway.
Now let's start from the beginning so that you can hopefully get your story together properly. Your best defense is the truth. I want you to understand that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She got really belligerent with me and said something about my son who was brutally murdered 5 years ago. And she started punching on me, and then she threw the keys out the window.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Serena Cantway says she used her car as collateral for a loan from her sister, Suzanne Tyler. Serena says the loan never happened and Suzanne won't return the car. Serena also claims Suzanne assaulted her.
You signed this piece of paper.
Right.
You signed it.
Right.
This piece of paper says you're getting this car as collateral towards a loan for $600 in which I will repay her at $25 a month. That's what this says.
Oh, that is not the one. I don't have a copy of that.
Really? Oh, show this to her. I'm sorry.
I don't.
Show that to
Your
her,
Honor.
please. Do you have that?
This is not the one, Serena.
Oh, wait, do you have...
No, I don't have a copy of this.
No, do you have a copy of any agreement that you signed?
No.
Okay, but you never signed that?
No.
Good. Can I have it, please?
That is the agreement, Your Honor.
Okay.
There is no other agreement.
I don't know that at all. Go ahead.
So on September the 14th, my sister signed over the title of the car.
Tell me about the conversation that you had with her.
I did tell her I did want to give her some money for the car. This was before she signed this over. I said, I don't feel right about it. But she said, don't worry about it. Mom got the car for me, and it's like a family heirloom. I'm going to pass it down to you.
That's not true.
Okay. Can I see the pink slip?
I've never called the car a family heirloom.
Go ahead.
So then after this, I was always driving her kids around because she had 2 DUIs. So I was doing that for her. And then I think it was a few months after that, Serena had mentioned that she was behind on her Camaro payments. And so it was not too long after that she totaled the Camaro. And
I didn't total the Camaro.
Yes, you did, Serena.
Ms. Tyler, just talk to me.
She totaled the Camaro. She didn't have any insurance. The car was going to be repossessed. So she hid the car in the garage for 3 weeks. And she went down and she got an insurance company to insure the car. When her boyfriend got back from Spain, they went and they told the insurance company that he was the one that was driving it, so she wouldn't get in trouble because she didn't have a license. So
I was filing bankruptcy. I'm sorry, but I was going to lose the car. I did not wreck it.
Go ahead.
Ma'am, okay. Then after this, it was like a few weeks after that, her and her girlfriend came up to the house.
You're talking about the incident in July?
No,
July
ma'am.
4th?
She's talking.
This was in the spring of 2002 when she wrecked the Camaro.
Okay, she wrecked the Camaro.
Right, and it was like 2 weeks after that. I was sitting on the front porch, and her and her friend came over, and a friend of hers was outside talking to me, and Serena went in the house, and she said, you need to give the car back to Serena. And I said, what are you talking about?
And what did you do to her?
And I said,
Miss Cantway, I don't want to hear you.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
I said, what are you talking about? And she says, you need to give that car back to Serena. And I says, this is an agreement between me and Serena. It's really none of your business. And I asked her to leave. And then she got really belligerent with me and said something about my son who was brutally murdered 5 years ago. So I called the cops and asked her to please leave.
Who said that to you, the friend?
Yeah, her friend of hers.
Friend. Keep going.
So then I asked, Serena was there, and I came out. I said, Serena, I called the cops because I said, you got to get this woman off my property.
Okay.
So then I told Serena, I says, what is the deal with the car?
Don't interrupt her.
I'm not interrupting.
She didn't
I was
interrupt.
raising my hand.
No. She didn't interrupt you while you were testifying.
Yes.
When she did once, I told her to be quiet, and she waited. That's what I'm telling you. Do you understand?
Yes.
I don't have to say it again. It irritates me to be irritated.
I'm sorry to irritate you.
Good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Serena Catway says she used her car as collateral for a loan from her sister, Suzanne Tyler. Serena says the loan never happened and Suzanne won't return the car. Serena also claims Suzanne assaulted her.
Keep going.
So then I confronted Serena because she was there, and I said, what is the deal with the car? What is this about this contract that you're talking about? And she says, well, I was using that against Scott in case he wanted to get his hands on the car. And I'm going, what are you talking about? And I want the car back after you get your settlement. And I'm thinking, and I told Serena, I says, well, Serena, I don't know why you...
What settlement, Ms. Tyler, is she talking about?
Because I have a workman's comp settlement. I broke my neck, and I'm still recovering from that.
Would you tell me, please, what happened on the 4th of July of 2002?
Yes, Serena wanted to borrow the car, and she had borrowed the car 5 days in a row because I know she was out of vehicle, and I was trying to do the nice thing for her.
And you had your driver's license back at that time?
She did get it back, yeah. So, but during that week, she had, I know this for a fact because she left the house and she drove the car twice drunk, and she let somebody else drive the car. So during that evening on the 3rd, I was sitting on the porch with family members. They were concerned. They said, you're going to have to not let Serena drive the car. So I said, well, I know this is going to be a problem. So the next day when she asked me to use the car, I said, honey, I got errands to run. I said, I'll try to arrange a ride for you, and we'll try to see what we can work out. Well, then she came over shortly after our conversation on the phone, extremely upset with me, yelling and screaming. I said, Serena, quit yelling at me. And then she brought up the contract, the $600. She kept it up, and I said, I've got to get away from here. So I grabbed my keys, and I began to go down the stairs. She followed me. She got in the car. She grabbed the keys. We were like this, and she started punching on me, and then she threw the keys out the window. And then when I waited, I had a second set of keys. When she went back upstairs, I got in the car, rolled up the windows, and I took off, and I went to my cousin's house. And I left town. I left town the following week because I got tired of the abuse, and I moved to Napa.
Ms. Cantway, I'm certainly hearing two diverse stories.
I see that, yeah.
My job is made very easy by the fact that neither of you dispute the fact that you signed over the pink slip to this car, not conditionally, not as a lien holder, but for all purposes to your sister. If you had signed it over to her and been a lien holder for $600, because that was the condition of giving it to her, that she would pay you $600 or give you $600, there would have been a lien on the car for $600.
Yeah.
But you did not. You signed it over so that she is now the owner of that car.
Yep.
So your lawsuit with regard to the return of the car is dismissed. With regard to the assault, since I find that this was her car and you had absolutely no right to get into her car, to pull the keys out of the ignition, to stop the car.
Your Honor.
I'm speaking. She says it's because you had either let someone else drive the car or
nobody else
family
drove the
I'm
car.
speaking, or people told her that you were driving the car while you were intoxicated. And if it's her car in her name, she is liable for anything that happens to the car. In any event, you had no right to get into the car, pull the ignition keys out, toss them out, and if she scratched your hand at the time that you were struggling over the car keys, she has a right to do that.
Yes.
Because it's her car.
I had driven the car drunk, Your Honor.
No, it doesn't make any difference.
I took the dog to the vet to be put down, and I picked his daughter up from school.
Let's say you weren't driving the car drunk. You still have absolutely no right to get into her car and touch her property, and she has the right to use whatever force is necessary to get your hands off the ignition keys. And if she scratched your hand while she was doing it, she scratched your hand. That's it. I mean, it's certainly very sad
She
that...
neglected to mention to you what she did to the other girl who was supposedly so belligerent at her house. The other girl mentioned, why don't you give the vehicle back to Serena? It is her car. You know what she did to that girl? She grabbed her by the bottom of her neck and scratched her all the way up to her ears.
Now, if this person that you brought to the house said something to her about her child who was murdered in
No,
the course
they
of the,
said
in the
nothing
course,
about that.
you were
They would
inside.
not
You
do
were
that.
inside. You were not outside.
I
when
was
that
outside.
No, I don't, Miss Cantway.
The porch
I
is
don't
right
believe
there.
a whole lot of what you're telling me. What I do believe is that you gave your sister your car because you had another car. You had no use to have for this second car. You had a newer car.
I wish
the
I was
newer,
that
I'm
rich.
speaking. The newer car got repossessed. You said, I want my car back. She said, I'm not giving you your car back. She said, but I'll share it with you. I'll share it with you. You use it when you need it, and I'll use it when I need it. And then you had an argument.
No.
And you want a court to resolve it as a family dispute. I don't intend to do that. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties no excuse. You're going to step out.
He's got a lot of animosity to me, and it really hurts my feelings, and I wish he didn't have to come to this.
I just found out the blood's not thicker than water.
She was demanding and wanted it back, and it wasn't just going to work out that way for her this time.
According to her, I'm the spoiled one that gets her way all the time. Well, obviously not, huh?
Maybe somewhere down the road we can settle it.
This is case number 260 on the calendar in the matter of DeGrace versus Rossi. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Grace, you rented a room from the defendant. The tenancy lasted 1 day. You want your money back, and in addition to your money back, you want some punitive damages you claim for invasion of your privacy. Mr. Rossi said you left of your own volition, you broke the terms of your tenancy, and you don't get any money back. Correct?
That is correct.
Okay. What kind of place did you rent to her, Mr. Rossi?
Room inside of a privately owned home.
You're the owner.
Yes.
So you rented her a room in your house with kitchen privileges, I assume?
Correct.
How much did you charge her in rent?
$325.
And what other money did she give you?
First month's additional for utility expenses.
How much did she give you in total?
$575.
Had you advertised for this room?
Yes.
Where?
Buffalo News.
Are you legally able to rent in your home?
Correct.
You are legally able to do that?
Sure.
She signed the lease?
No.
How come?
There was no written contract.
Why not?
Didn't feel the need to.
If you have a tenancy, then you have a contract. It says what your rent is, what security deposit, what it's for, that it'll be returned, what you're going to do with the security deposit, put it in an interest-bearing account. I mean, you want to do all these...
There was no mention of any security deposit, Your Honor.
Well, what was the other $250 for, sir?
Money that she chipped in for the utility expenses the first month.
$250 for your utilities?
Correct.
What utilities cost you
There
$250?
was no mention of any additional security deposit.
Mr. Rossi, had you ever rented a room before?
No.
Never?
No.
Okay. Who advised you legally?
No one.
That's what I figured. Okay. Now, Mr. Grace, what date did you move in?
January 1st.
When had you seen the room?
3-4 days before it.
And you spoke to Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Who else lives in the home?
His girlfriend.
Just the two of them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How old are you?
19.
Your mother. Sit down. And what happened on January 1st when you moved in?
He helped me move my stuff into the apartment, and he was acting very strange.
It was a room.
I'll get to that.
What apartment?
His apartment.
I thought it was a house.
No, it's not.
What is it?
It's an apartment that he is renting.
It's an apartment in a building that he's renting?
No, it's just an apartment, like a house, but he's renting.
From whom?
From his landlord.
Is that true?
It's a privately owned house, Your Honor.
Do you own it?
I don't own the house, no.
That's what I asked you before. Did I ask him that question before?
That's what you asked him.
And what did he say? He said yes.
He said, yeah.
You are a renter.
Yes.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Rossi?
Self-employed contractor.
How long have you been a tenant?
6 years.
In the same place?
Correct.
Did you have permission of your landlord to rent?
Yes.
Show me.
I don't have anything in writing.
Really?
No.
What's your rent?
How much do I pay for rent?
That would be the question, Mr. Rossi.
$470.
Plus what?
Utilities.
So your rent is $470. You're charging her $325.
Correct.
Go ahead, Mr. Grace. You say he's acting weird. He is weird.
He was not charging me $325. He was charging me $350.
Okay.
I paid him up front the day before I moved in for $250 for utilities, and the day that I moved in, I paid him $350 for the first month's rent. He refused to give me a receipt saying that I paid him the $350. He said for tax reasons. Then he showed me and my father all these gas bills that he owed. He did not say that he couldn't pay them. He just said that they were too high. And that night, I fell asleep that night. He came in my room. His pit bull first, he didn't tell me he had a pit bull. His pit bull burst into my room and started attacking me, started jumping all over me, biting my arms.
If a pit bull bit your arms, madam, you would know it. Mr. Grace, I don't want you to make up any stories
It was
to
under
embellish.
the covers.
You understand?
Okay, yes.
If a pit bull bites you all over the arms, you would have major scars or some scars.
I was under the covers.
Oh, okay, so his dog came into your room and it scared you.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Then he came in my room smoking pot. He got the dog off of me. And he sat down next to me and he started talking sexually to me. And he
That's a lie.
No, it's not. He's the liar.
You felt uncomfortable there, is that right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Prior to your moving into his room, where had you been living?
At my father's.
Does your father live with your mother?
No.
How long had you been living with your father?
For about 3 years.
Why did you leave your father's house?
I wanted to become more independent.
Were you working?
No, I was going to school.
Full-time or part-time?
Full-time.
Who was going to be paying your rent?
I was.
If you're a full-time student, how are you going to pay your rent?
I am on SSI.
What's the nature of your disability?
Depression, anxiety.
And you take medication for that?
Yes.
You were going to try to make it on your own?
Yes.
Didn't work out. And the next day, you said, I'm going back home. Now, when you left, where did you go?
I didn't go back home. I called up my mother and I was crying.
Okay, and so did you go to your mother's house?
Yes.
And you stayed there?
Yes.
Is that where you're living now?
No.
Where are you living now?
I'm living back at my father's.
Okay, good. Everything okay?
At my father's, yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Rossi, aside from the fact that you illegally rented a room in a place where you were a tenant and you have absolutely no proof of the fact that your landlord gave you permission to do that, I'd like you to tell me what were your out-of-pocket expenses for the 24 hours that Mr. Grace lived in your house? Is not an answer, Mr. Rossi.
Out-of-pocket expenses while she was there for 24 hours?
Yes.
There were none.
Perfect. Then if she left after 24 hours, why didn't you return her money to her?
Because I had to spend time to try to gain access to get myself a new tenant. If I was able to
what
have...
kind of nonsense did he just say? What kind of gobbledygook did he just put together?
I'm not catching it.
You're not catching it. You're not catching it.
You are
Mr. Grace.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You don't look like an unintelligent person. A little slimy, but not unintelligent.
And later today...
Tell me what they were.
It was payment for money that I loaned.
That's not what I asked you. That is the conclusion.
The circumstances?
If you don't remember, say I don't remember. Remember that I will test you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 19-year-old Allison DeGrace claims former landlord Stephen Rossi caused her to move out after only 1 day. Allison says during her first night there, Stephen entered her room while she was asleep.
Mr. Rossi, my question was, you illegally rented a room, she moved out, you had absolutely no loss as a result of her moving out. If you were aware of the fact, Mr. Rossi, that when she moved in, that she was on medication, a fact that was evident to me, then why didn't you say, look, this is not working out. She's unhappy. I'm going to give her back her money.
I wasn't aware that she was unhappy, Your Honor.
Listen, she moves all of her things into your house. She comes there with her father?
Correct.
With her father. I mean, if you're an intelligent person, you don't look like an unintelligent person, a little slimy, but not unintelligent. You understand that there's a certain dynamic here going on. This was in what month? January in Buffalo? It gets very cold, but I'm sure your brain thought out enough in Buffalo in January to understand that there's a certain family dynamic going on here. So if it didn't work out and she was unhappy, she was stressed, whatever it was, you say, here's your $600 back. I'm not out any money. It didn't work out, especially since you were doing something that was in violation of your tenancy. You probably fell behind in some bills, and you probably figured you could get somebody to shore up a little bit, and you did, and you got a $600. You managed to pay off the bills you were behind paying off, and you say you can't have your money back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Everything he said was a complete lie.
The girl's on lithium. She's on Prozac. She's only 19 years old.
I'm not on heavy medication.
I think she moved into a place. She moved out the following day. It's her loss.
I'm not crazy.
I think the girl's nuts.
Model Amanda Van Geertree is suing the father of her child, retail clerk Robert Harris, for smashing her car window with his fist, injuring their daughter.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 274 on the calendar in the matter of Van Geertree versus Harris. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Ms. Van Geertree, you and the defendant have a child together. The child is a couple of years old. It is your complaint that about 2 years ago, there was an incident with Mr. Harris, and you hadn't been together since that incident, according to you. And there was an argument. You got into your car. Your daughter was in the car. It is your claim that Mr. Harris purposely broke the car window, causing the window to shatter all over you and your daughter, caused her to be injured, caused you to be injured, and caused the car to be damaged. Is that your complaint?
As a result of him hitting the window, it happened.
Mr. Harris says that the whole incident was your fault. What happened was an accident. He would never intentionally try to hurt his child. And this lawsuit is motivated by something entirely different. Is that right, Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Okay. So I want you to tell me how old your daughter was 2 years ago when this incident happened.
11 months old.
Tell me about it.
When we were walking back to go to the washrooms.
Just a second. I don't know washrooms. Where were you? What were you
At
doing?
a company picnic. And we were going to the washrooms, and his sister's ex-husband or somebody that he wasn't happy with was going to pick up the baby and stopping us and everything, and he went on walking and left me standing there giving me a dirty look that this person was holding our child. And I noticed he was drinking hard liquor, and he would not come out, and when he did come out, I said, I want to leave.
You're going all over the place. You were at a company picnic, you decided you wanted to leave.
I'm nervous right now.
Okay. Sorry. You were at a company picnic. You decided you wanted to leave.
Yes.
What happened when you told him you wanted to leave?
He started yelling at me to give him the keys, and I was saying, no, I want to just go and get away from this situation because I see you're drinking. I'm just leaving. I want to take the baby and go home. And he said, give me the keys, give me the keys.
What keys?
The keys for the apartment. I was staying with him at the time. I gave him the keys back, and I was going to leave. He was telling me he wanted cigarettes that were in the passenger side seat, and he was pointing to them when the windows were up and I was going to pull out. And I said, no, you're not getting it, and I was going to drive back.
Okay, so he saw cigarettes that were in the car.
Yes.
That were his, and he said, I want them.
They were mine.
They were yours?
They were mine.
But he said, I want them.
Yes.
And you said, you're not going to get them, and you started to leave.
He said, no, through the window. And I started pulling out, and that's when he went like this.
And he
hit my
slapped?
car. I don't know if it was open hand or what. He went like this with the anger face. I looked at his face, and that's when the glass shattered.
Glass on which window?
On the passenger side front window next to me. Shattered in like 1,000 pieces. And I turned around. I was wearing glasses at the time, so it didn't get me. It got my arms a little bit, but not bad. I looked back, and my baby was bleeding really bad. And I couldn't help but be hysterical. And he threw the keys, and I was trying to run him back to get the baby out of the car seat. And I was screaming, she's bleeding, she's bleeding. He just kept on walking away. And he didn't care. He just went over to the side.
Okay. You got the baby out of the car seat, right?
Yes.
And the baby went to the doctor or hospital?
I signed a waiver not to have the ambulance in Itasca, Illinois, to take the baby. I was taking her to a hospital by my mom's house, and I rushed her to the hospital there.
In your car?
In my car, yes.
So you got the glass, you cleaned the glass up?
I couldn't clean it all up. They tried while we were in the ambulance.
Okay, where was he?
He was being taken by the police, talked to, and put in the police car. I have police reports.
Can I see the police reports, please?
On the right side is this police report. This previous police reports of his battery was on the left. And I have doctors.
I just want to see this incident. Okay, when your daughter was ultimately taken to the emergency room, she needed some stitches according to your complaint. Is that right?
Yes.
Can I
have
see?
that, please. The doctor's records and bills. The bills are in the front, and the old papers, the doctor's forms at that time were in there from the stitches being put in and removed.
Okay. Did you pay these bills?
No. I wanted him to be responsible for them.
Did you pay the bills?
No,
the answer is no. Do you have any insurance?
No, I don't.
Okay, Mr. Harris. I'll hear you, sir.
All right. On July 7th, my mother had a company picnic, and I was with Amanda, and we went, and I saw my sister, and we said hello to my mother and everyone as they was playing bingo. I told Amanda I had to go to the washroom, and she wanted to come with me, and I had, of course, my daughter, okay? And I met with my sister and her brother-in-law as we was going towards the washroom, and Tommy saw my little daughter, and he went to grab her, and they was talking. So I said I had to use the washroom. I don't want to stay and wait, and you know that was my brother-in-law. I don't have nothing against my brother-in-law to watch my daughter, or to be with my daughter while I go use the washroom. She stayed over there arguing with them, saying that
she wanted to leave.
Right, she wanted to go to the washroom. She wanted to go to the washroom too. That's what I'm saying. So I had to go. I wasn't going to wait for her. I left and went to the men's room. All of a sudden, I come out of the washroom, and she said, "Why you leave me out here?" You know, yelling this. I want to go home. You son of a goo. You know what I'm saying? All type of curse words. So I'm like, I went in there with my nephew. I could see if I was in there with another girl, you acting like this. You know, they're just like, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. So we was walking out to her car, and I told her to hand me my house keys. Because I feel like I don't want her going in my house, because she went in my house on one incident and took some stuff out of there that, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, no, give me my house keys. She didn't want to do that, so eventually she gave the keys. And as I went around, I seen my cigarettes on my side, where I was pointed at my cigarettes on the passenger side. And I said, man, I want my cigarettes. She said, no. And I said, man, give me my cigarettes. She said, no, you son of a, you know, once again. And she put the car in reverse, and I seen her feet was about to step on the paddle. So I jumped back. And when I jumped back, I had a bracelet on it, and that hit the window. It hit a metal piece on it, and I guess it hit the center of the window, and it broke the glass. I was in shock. And at the time, I didn't know my daughter was bleeding until I walked around, and my sister said, Bobby, your daughter bleeding. I said, what?
Okay, I got it. Do you visit with your daughter, sir?
Yes, I get her every other weekend. And it was supposed to be during the summer. Right now, I'm going for full custody of my daughter.
Why is that?
Amanda has a serious drug problem, and she even tried to commit suicide just over a year ago by trying to OD. And actually, she's very unstable for the time that I've known her. She always have excuses of why she can't get things done. She
You have a
have
drug
right now.
problem?
No.
That drug problem, Your Honor, left my daughter in DCF care about 5 or 6 several times. And every
Your
time
daughter
that,
ever been in foster care?
No.
because
Ever
of
been
my,
out of your custody?
No.
yes, she have. When she tried to kill herself,
When
I got custody of my daughter.
For a couple weeks.
That was like for a whole month almost. This happened in 2001 in February, so I had it like almost up until the end of March. And I took full responsibility. She swears to God that I have a drinking problem, but when I took full responsibility of my daughter, there was no drinking. I was picking her up and taking her, dropping her off to the babysitter, making her work on time, doing a responsible thing.
Did you plead guilty, sir, to disorderly conduct?
Yes, I was acting in a manner of, anger. I was like yelling and stuff like that.
You were?
That's the only thing I played, but I didn't plead on all the other charges was dropped.
Yeah, I don't think you intentionally hurt your daughter, sir.
No, I did not.
I don't think you intentionally hurt her at all. Neither does she think you intentionally hurt her.
No, I didn't try to break that window neither.
I don't know whether you tried to hurt the window, but you hurt the window, right?
Right, it happens.
Right?
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Well, you mean he was selling drugs or using them?
Well, I saw there was money on her bed, and it was a large sum of money, so I knew he was dealing with it.
So then both you smelled it and he was selling it, right? Smell and sell.
Yes.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Amanda Van Geertree says ex-boyfriend Robert Harris smashed her car window with his fist, injuring their daughter inside. Robert says it was a freak accident.
You've been arrested before for domestic violence?
Yes,
Problem is not an answer.
Yes, I have.
How many times?
Once. Well, twice concerning this window being broke.
Your Honor, I have a picture of my daughter, the scar on her head.
I'm sure Mr. Harris knows that there's a scar on your daughter's face. He didn't mean to hurt her. You don't think he meant to hurt her?
No,
right?
but it is a result of his actions, and
It's a result of
I
his
shouldn't
bad
have to
temper.
pay for his actions.
You shouldn't have to pay for the medical bills that resulted from his actions. Isn't that right, sir?
Well, I feel like, no.
You feel like what? Of course not. Of course she shouldn't have to pay for the medical bills that are as a result of your actions.
Well, as I was telling you, when she put the car in reverse, she was about to, she stormed out, backing up. I had to jump back. That's what caused the window broke. I didn't go up to the window and hit the window at all.
Listen to me. The car didn't hit your arm. Your arm hit the car.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes. It was all a freak accident. I guess you're right, then I should be responsible for paying it,
Okay. I want to tell you something, Mr. Harris. You may be 100% right that you are the more appropriate custodian. You've got a hurdle to overcome, and that is these prior police reports. I'm
Yes.
sure that the judge who's handling the custody case will look at that and balance it with whatever problems you have and make a decision.
I just wanted to say, when she's talking about the medical bills and all that stuff, I'm reliable for that. I understand that.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to get the court to understand, that I'm not out there just angry and just doing crazy stuff.
I don't think you're angry and doing crazy stuff. I think you lost your temper.
Yeah.
Your Honor.
I think you lost your temper, and that's what happens when you lose your temper. You're responsible for what happens as a
Okay.
result of that.
But Your Honor,
What?
what about the 2 years, and what about the pain and suffering for Olivia, having to go for stitches and me having to hold her down and just
What about that?
for 2 years having to go to court?
What about that?
Because missing work because of him.
You break.
Thank you.
He's the father, just like you're the mother. There was an accident. It was caused by his bad temper. You don't bring the father to court because, let's say she was riding a bicycle. He was teaching her how to ride a bicycle, and he wasn't careful. And as a result of that, the bicycle went over, and she broke an arm. You think you can bring the father to court for the broken arm because he wasn't careful, because he was negligent in teaching how to ride a bicycle? We'd be in court all the time. That's what happens to young children. Now, this unfortunate incident happened because he lost his temper. That doesn't mean you bring a father to court for pain and suffering for a daughter. She's not any more your child than she is his. Do you understand that? Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,111.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I guess now, by hearing Judge Judy ruling, I am kind of responsible for it.
I believe that this judgment was wrong. I think I should have gotten more.
I got a little daughter by, a lady that's not stable, has a drug problem.
He didn't care. He walked away when she was covered in blood.
And right just before the show, she called me talking about she hoped that we can come out here and get things back together. And now she want to come here and cry, make me look like an angry person.
He just wants to hurt me some more. It won't stop.
I think that's what's wrong, but that's how she is.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Michael versus White. Step forward, please.
19-year-old student Anna Michael is suing her former roommate, 20-year-old receptionist Bridget White, for the return of a computer. Bridget is countersuing, claiming Anna broke their apartment lease.
Miss Michael, you and the defendant were best friends, roommates, and it is your claim that the defendant took from you a computer that you had paid for, or mostly paid for, and you want $1,000 that you had put into the computer that she took.
Correct.
That's your claim. Miss White says that, yes, she took the computer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because the arrangement was it was going to be yours when you fully paid for it, and you still owed some $300 on the computer. When you paid the $300, the computer would be yours. Is that right?
Yes.
Till she gets her money, she's got the computer, which I assume is in good condition.
Yes.
Good. Now, Miss White has a counterclaim. She says you stuck her with 11 months on a 12-month lease. She was able to negotiate herself out of the lease, but as a result of that, she lost her security deposit because you left.
Correct.
So she wants that money back from you since you left the apartment. And she also says that you took with you a camera that was half hers. She will explain to me. So let's take care of the computer first. Can I see the receipt for the computer? How much it cost? Total purchase, $1,314. You paid $1,000.
Correct.
So you owe her $314.38.
Correct.
Correct? So you're going to give her that and she's going to give you back the computer.
I've tried.
Do you understand?
Yes.
5 days from today's date, we will make a transfer. You will get your $314.38. She will get her computer. Is that clear?
Yes. Correct.
Oh, you're not going to get much more out of her. Correct. Correct. Good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Anna Michael says former roommate Bridget White owes for the return of her computer.
Now, let's talk about this lease. How much was your security deposit?
The total security deposit was $400. I paid $266.66, and she paid $133.37.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Perfect. Now, tell me why you left.
I left because it was an unsafe environment for me.
Explain it.
Her boyfriend was living with us. He occupied the second room. He was involved with illegal activity. I did not want to live that kind of lifestyle anymore. I didn't want to put myself in that position or environment, so I left.
Well, you mean he was selling drugs or using them?
Selling them, yes. I could smell the marijuana in the room. Using them, I have no proof.
Yes, you could smell the marijuana.
You can smell the marijuana.
I think you meant to switch that around.
Oh.
That
well, like, there was...
That you could smell it, so yes, he was using it, but you don't know if he was selling it because you don't have any information about that.
Well, I saw there was money on her bed at multiple times, and it was a large sum of money, so I knew he was dealing with it.
So then both of you smelled it and he was selling it, right? Smell and sell.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Michael, you said you didn't want to be involved in that lifestyle anymore. Had you been involved in that lifestyle previously?
No, ma'am.
So you misspoke when you said you didn't want to be involved.
Yes, I did
Misspeak.
Misspeak.
I say you misspoke, you say yes. Did misspeak. Correct. Love this case. So did you have an argument? She told you she moved out?
She never gave me a reason. I came home at lunch, and she was gone.
Really?
Mm-hmm. She called me that Friday morning at work and said, "I'm leaving."
Okay. Now, the lease was in whose name?
Hers, mine, and 2 other girls.
What about your boyfriend?
He wasn't living there.
Was he staying over?
He actually stayed for 3 days. That was a couple weeks before that.
Why
3
did you
days.
leave?
I left because of her boyfriend.
Then why didn't you say to her, if your boyfriend comes to stay here and is going to be involved in drugs, I'm going to have to leave? Instead of just saying, I'm leaving, I'm out of here.
Well, it wasn't that easy.
Well, explain it to me.
We had a roommate, and she left on the 11th of July. And so in order to compensate for that month's rent, Bridget brought in her boyfriend, which I interpreted and was led to believe that he would pay for the rest of the money of that month. So he was living there. I did not know that he was going to be involved with legal behavior inside our room. I did not know that. So I told her I would no longer live with him, and I would not live with him through her. And because of that, I left.
All right, now talk to me about the camera.
For our birthdays, which are a week apart, her sister, who is a good friend of mine, bought us both a camera, and it was to both of us, and when she left, she took it with her.
So you think her sister bought you a present?
No, it was for both of us. She bought us more than just the camera for our birthdays. Her sister was a good
somebody
friend
had to
of
take
mine.
the camera.
Huh?
What's huh? Somebody had to take the camera.
Yes. She actually took it. She didn't discuss anything with me, so I just said, that's fine if you'd like it. You can pay me for half the value.
She's not going to pay you anything for the camera that her sister bought for her birthday. This is the way we're going to resolve this, ladies. And listen very carefully. You would ordinarily have to pay her, in order to get your computer back, $314. Do you understand?
Correct.
That means you pay her $314. You also owe her $266. Do you understand? She shouldn't be responsible for your skipping out. You should have made proper arrangements. When you move in to a place, you're supposed to make arrangements if you want to move out, not just to say toodaloo and the people who were there are stuck. She lost her security deposit.
So did I.
So?
What does that make? I don't. Does
So
that make
you
us
lost
equal?
your security deposit, but you caused her to lose hers also.
But she signed off on a transfer lease.
So?
I couldn't live there anymore.
I don't know where you went. Where did you go?
I was homeless for a month, for a week.
Where did you sleep?
On the floor with in my friend's room.
That's not being homeless, that's being young. Listen to me. On your counterclaim, I'm awarding you $588. That is $314 for the computer and $266 for the money that you were out as a result of this aborted lease. You will get your computer back. Clear?
Clear.
Good.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Culp versus Deason. Step forward, please.
Jeffrey Culp and his wife Nancy are suing Nancy's daughter, 23-year-old telemarketer Christy Deason, for the cost to bail her out of jail and for an unpaid loan to get back on her feet.
Mr. and Mrs. Culp, this is your daughter. Is that right?
My stepdaughter.
And how long have you been married to her mother?
We've been married for 9 years, been together a total of 16.
And how old was Miss Deason when you came into her life?
8 years old.
Is that right? Yes. Your lawsuit says that your daughter owes you some money for bail and then some money that you loaned her to help her get back on her feet after a series of mishaps and missteps. The total of those loans is under $1,000.
That's correct.
Your daughter says that there was never an agreement to pay that money back. These were not loans. This was what family does for each other when they're in trouble. And Mr. and Mrs. Culp, I'm here to tell you that I've read your complaint, and quite simply, the complaint says she called you one night a year and a half ago from jail. She had been arrested for what?
Possession of marijuana.
And she said, please come and bail me out. You did.
That's correct.
And then later on, you loaned her money for some clothes and some startup money so that she could get on her feet. So, I have a question for you. I don't believe in going to court when you have family. Mother, child, father, child, child against parent, unless it's so much money that it really is life-altering money. $987 doesn't come under the category, to me, of life-altering money for anybody. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair
statement. This is
statement,
not life-altering money. So then, you tell me why you chose to make an issue of this money, and I'm sure there have been other monies, but why you chose to make an issue of this money rather than just saying, look, I'm not going to loan her any more money, I'm going to write this off. Explain that to me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I do take care of my son. I do not get child support.
Where's his father?
He doesn't help me.
Why doesn't he help you?
I've got an answer for that, Your Honor. He's useless.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeffrey and Nancy Culp say their daughter, Christy Deason, owes for bail money and an unpaid loan.
Go ahead.
Well, Your Honor, the money is of little consequence. There has been a history of loans made to Christy. We put her into an apartment. We paid her utilities to get her set up on her own. I spent a year with her child in my custody, living in my home. I paid all of his expenses and his medical bills. We took care of all of his clothing, his food, his shelter. And these are all things that I did because I am a grandfather.
Where was she?
She lived in South Carolina at the time. She was unable to care for him. None of that I'm asking for. this is a case of teaching her some responsibility. I don't think that I or my wife should be responsible for taking care of stupid things like going to jail and fines. We did bail her out of jail. We did move her into our home. We bought her clothing. We set her up with a job. I gave her a car, and she never started the job the first day. She went back to South Carolina and back into her old life.
Where was your grandson all this time?
He was in my custody.
Where is
now,
he?
when she went back to South Carolina, she did take him back with her.
How is he doing?
He's doing very well right now.
Good. With his mother?
That's correct.
Good. And what are you doing now?
I'm a telemarketer and I wait tables in evenings.
Who takes care of your son?
The school. I got it arranged where I work on the weekends, waiting tables at night, and he goes to his grandmother's house on his father's side.
Where's his father?
He's in South Carolina as well, but he doesn't help me at all.
Well, what does he do?
He sells cars.
Why doesn't he help you?
I don't know. He's court ordered too, and he switched jobs.
I've got an answer for that, Your Honor. He's useless.
Oh. Good.
Yeah.
He's useless.
Right.
Would it be a fair statement, Mr. Cope, that your daughter seems to be putting things in order at this point?
She is. She is trying. She's maintaining a home. She maintains my grandson. She works 2 jobs.
Great. So why now have you decided to bring this lawsuit?
Because Christy and I have had this conversation over and over again throughout the past year. I have asked her to, if need be, pay $5 a week toward what she owes. You know?
And, Christy, let me hear.
I just don't have the money. I pay all my bills by myself. I do take care of my son. Like I said, I do not get child support, so I just don't have the money.
Well, let me ask you this question. Sounds to me as if your stepfather has been more like a father to you. Fair statement?
Right.
And what it sounds to me is that both your stepfather and your mother are saying they don't really care about money. They would like you to make some sort of a showing of responsibility. So even if you sent them $5 a month, which you can afford, believe me, you blow that on nonsense, right?
Right.
$5 a month, $1 a week, right?
Right.
A couple of cents a day. They would like you to say to them, by that demonstration, I'm acknowledging that I am responsible for these things, my fines, my bail, the things that I did to get myself into trouble. You have a problem with that?
Well, I think, I helped my parents out when he was in time of need. I was 16. I was going to school. I was working in the evenings after school. I would give them my check every week to help pay bills. And I figured I did this for 2 years. When I helped them, I figured that in a time
Were you
of need,
also living in the house?
I was.
Were you also
Your
eating?
Honor, we're talking about a 16-year-old child that worked 10 to 12 hours a week in a fast food restaurant and brought me $20 to feed her and her child.
I worked more than that.
Fine. How much money did you give them?
It was almost $200 every week. Because I worked all day on Saturday and Sundays. And then during the week, after school, I would go in at 5 and I wouldn't get out of there until 11 o'clock at night.
And who was taking care of your son?
My parents did help until my dad couldn't do it anymore and my guidance counselor decided to help me.
But they did, for a while.
Right.
Quite a while, Your Honor.
How long is quite a while?
We did this for 2 years.
Now, Miss Deason, what I'm suggesting to you is that you were found guilty and were arrested for the commission of a crime. It may have been your time of need, but when a court says, I want you to pay this fine, they don't mean I want your parents to pay the fine. You're supposed to pay the fine to teach you a lesson. Do you understand? There's a difference. You're supposed to pay the fine so that it hurts you in the pocketbook, not so that it hurts them in the pocketbook, so that it hurts you. That's different from if the family loses a job or something and everybody has to pitch in a little bit more, or if you go have a baby when you're 15 years old so that the household needs more money so that you're helping out a little bit more and they're helping out a little bit more. That's what family does for each other. But when you commit a crime and you're ordered to pay a fine, it's supposed to hurt you. It's supposed to make you think twice about doing it again. Do you understand?
Yes.
So, in that regard, they're right. And I think that they would be happy with $5 a month, just as long as you're saying, I admit that I did something wrong, and I am going to be responsible by paying the fines for the crime that I committed. Fair?
Very fair, Your Honor.
Very good. On those terms, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $987. That's all.
33-year-old daycare provider Rhoda Wilson is suing mother of three, 23-year-old sales rep Adrian Dixon for slander and loss of work.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 93 on the calendar in the matter of Wilson versus Dixon. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Young lady, have a seat, please.
Miss Wilson, there was a time that you provided daycare for the defendant's three children. According to your complaint, as a result of some scandalous and slanderous remarks that the defendant made, you lost income.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
And you want her to compensate you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your oldest daughter?
Yes.
And you have two little
Yes.
ones, toddlers.
Yes.
How many days a week did you take care
Sunday
of?
through Thursday.
From what time to what time?
From 6:30 to 3 o'clock.
You were going to work, I assume.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have children of your own?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are they?
11 and 4.
When did the trouble begin?
March 22nd.
And tell me what happened.
Chantel had told me after
That's Chantel?
Yes. After I picked them up from the babysitter, from her house, she had told me that Rhoda had left them in the car alone while she went inside 2 stores, and she had the keys in the car. She had the car running also. She didn't wake up till 10 in the morning. I dropped them off at 6:30. They didn't eat breakfast. As soon as they woke up, she said, Rhoda said, come on, it's time to go. She didn't have my 1-year-old, she was 1 year, she was 1 then. She didn't have her in a car seat. She had my son. It wasn't in a car seat. He was in a like a carrier, and she didn't have him strapped in. And Tiara, my youngest daughter, was sitting on Chantel's lap in the car. And she also didn't have my permission to take them from her house.
To take them off the premises?
Mm-hmm.
Had she ever taken them off the premises before?
Not that I know of, no.
Do you remember coming home and telling your mom about this car ride that you took?
Yes.
You want to come up here so we can talk?
Yeah.
Tell me your name again.
Chantel.
And you're 9?
Yes.
What grade are you in school?
4th. I'm going to 4th.
You do well in school?
Yes.
Good. Tell me what you told her.
I told her that we woke up until 10 and we didn't...
What do you mean you woke up until 10?
I mean, Miss Rhoda woke up until 10 and...
Well, she didn't get up until 10. Who took care of you from 6:30 to 10?
Nobody. She just kept waking up and then checking on us.
Where were the babies?
Sleep. And somewhere wake up. My sister was woke.
So you told your mom about this business in the car. Were you strapped in a car in your seatbelt?
No.
And what about your brother?
No.
And your little sister?
No, she was sitting on my lap.
How old is your little sister?
1. Now she's 2.
But at that time she was 1-year-old.
Yes.
Now when you say she was sitting on your lap, were you sitting in the front of the car or in the back of the car?
Back.
And was she sitting on your lap when the car was moving?
Yes.
Have a seat over there with your mom. Okay. So after your daughter told you about this, what did you do?
I was mad, and the next day I went over there to get my son's pacifier from Rhoda.
And what happened?
She asked me how come I hadn't brought them, and I told her why, and we were arguing.
So the next day you didn't bring your children back?
No.
Did you file any report?
With the police and with the Gary County Health Department.
And when did you do that?
The health department, I did that the next day. The police, I think I did that about, I'd say 5 to 7 days after I had filed it with the health department.
Can you tell me why you, after you notified the health department, which I assume licenses you, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why you notified the police?
Because they didn't contact me back right away. I wanted to make sure that something would be done about it.
How many other children were in your care at the time you were taking care of Miss Dixon's children?
14.
14 children?
Yes, I did 18 hours straight, 7 days a week.
14 children?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're saying the same time. I'm sorry. It was my 4-year-old, my 11-year-old, the 13-year-old, and his brother David, which is 6 years old.
And her 3 children?
And her 3 children.
It's a lot of children to take care of. Okay, now is it that complaint to the health department and to the police department that you are complaining of today?
No, my complaint is, Your Honor, is the slander. She made a police report saying that I left her kids in the car by themselves and went shopping in Walmart. That's the complaint, Your Honor.
Yes.
That's the slander, and that's the slander that she spread it all over Junction City, stating that I left her kids in the car and went shopping in Walmart, and how she got my contract taken away from the state. She was bragging about that.
Well, let's go back a second, Miss Wilson. You did, in fact, go out to run a couple of quick errands with the children. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you supposed to take the children off premises in a car when you're taking care of them?
With the signed permission slip, Your Honor.
Do you have a signed permission slip from her?
No, ma'am.
So that you had no right to take them off the premises?
Verbally, she told me, she asked me if it was okay for her to work 2 hours overtime. The 2 hours overtime that I was working for her, Your Honor, was my off time. She called and asked about if it was okay for her to work 2 hours overtime. I said, yeah. I said, but I have to run a couple of errands. That's what I told her. But I said, yeah, you go ahead and work 2 hours overtime.
Did you have a signed permission slip from her to take her children off the premises?
No, ma'am.
The answer is no.
No, ma'am.
So you're not allowed to take her children off the premises?
Verbally? Well, no, ma'am. No, ma'am.
You took other children in the car with you, too, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
How many children other than the defendant's children were in the car?
It was Xavier, the 13-year-old, David, my 4-year-old, and her 3.
So you had 5 children in the car?
Yes, ma'am.
How many car seats did you have in the car?
I had 1 car seat.
And who was using that car seat?
The baby.
Which baby?
Romeo, the 12-month-old, was in the car seat.
That's her baby?
Yes, ma'am.
And how old is the next oldest child?
The next oldest was her child, I guess she's 18 months.
Was that child in a car seat?
No, ma'am.
You know that's against the law.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I went in and out of those places, Your
Doesn't
Honor.
make any difference. You left 5 children in the car for a moment.
And later today,
Madam, why did you sign the back of the check?
Let me see, because I don't know.
It's a check made out to cash. You cashed the check.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Daycare provider Rhoda Wilson says client Adrian Dixon damaged her reputation with slander. Adrian says Rhoda neglected her children.
Where was the first stop you made?
The first stop I made was at the cleaners, Your Honor.
You left 5 children in the car and ran into the cleaners.
It was driving cleaners, Your Honor. My car was right there by the door.
You left the children in the car for a moment.
With the 13-year-old.
For a moment.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, where was the second place that you went?
The Quick Sack.
What is that?
That's a convenience store.
And what did you have to buy there?
The bread and the vanilla wafers for my PM snack.
And did you take all 5 children into that store with you?
No, ma'am.
So, Miss Wilson, you left the 5 children in the car alone. I don't have to go any further with you. Were you issued any sort of citation?
All they got me for was improper seat belting.
Did you take a plea, or did you go to trial?
I went to trial, Your Honor.
Oh, you did, and you were found guilty?
Of not properly seat belting.
So you were found guilty?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you were found guilty, Miss Wilson, you were found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, which means that you can't now bring this lawsuit against her for complaining about things, some of which you were found guilty of. And if your complaint, Miss Wilson, is that the defendant told people about it, she could do that.
Your Honor, I didn't leave her kids in the car by themselves and was shopping at no Walmart.
So you didn't go to Walmart, so you went to the cleaners and you went to get your vanilla wafers. What difference does it make?
I went in and out of those places, Your
Doesn't
Honor.
make any difference. Do you know how long it takes a child, a 4-year-old, to put a car in gear, even if there are no keys in the car? We haven't even gotten to the fact whether the keys were in or out of the car. But let's say you were smart enough to take the keys with you, which I'm not so sure about. And one of the children, one of the toddlers, got there and moved the gear shift so that the car was placed in drive and started to roll with 5 children in the car.
Your Honor, it was just that I volunteered to work 2 hours overtime for her, and it was my off hours. I was planning. I didn't need the jeans. I didn't need the jeans, Your Honor. I just needed the bread and the vanilla wafers, and I could have done that if I wouldn't have worked overtime.
Just a second. Then you say I can't work overtime. You don't take the job to work overtime, Miss Wilson, and then do the wrong thing. Yes. You didn't need the jeans, and you do without the vanilla wafers if you agreed to work 2 hours overtime. You were going to get paid for 2 hours overtime, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Miss Wilson, you don't have a case. Your case is dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Come on. She slandered and lied about everything in a police report. Junction City is so small, it's like air freshener. You spray a little bit, it's all over, with a matter of seconds.
She's mad because she lost her contract and she can't get no more money for not doing the job that she was supposed to be doing. She was doing the job wrong.
18-year-old waitress Nicole Michaud is suing former friend, 18-year-old cashier Danielle Faria. Nicole claims Danielle tampered with her hair conditioner, causing her hair to fall out.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 236 on the calendar in the matter of Michaud versus Faria. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Miss Michaud, according to your complaint, you and the defendant had at one time been friends, and then there was some sort of a tiff over a boy. But there came a time when you were sort of having a girls' beauty day. You were at a friend's house, the defendant was there, everybody decided to color their hair. According to you, the defendant applied a hair dye on your hair. Is that right?
That's correct.
And then you stayed home, and she and some of the other girls went out to get some other products. They were gone for a couple of hours. You rinsed out the hair dye. Everything was fine. They came back. The defendant put a conditioner on your hair, and then all your hair fell out. Right?
Correct.
So you are convinced that she put something in this conditioner that caused your hair to fall out?
Yes.
What kind of hair product did you use? Was it a product that you had used before? The
Yes.
dye?
The dye was the exact same dye as I used 3 months prior to this.
The same one?
The same color, the same everything.
Okay, and how long did you leave it on?
45 minutes, like it said on the box.
And you rinsed it out?
And I rinsed it out.
And then you just sat around the house and waited for them to come back?
Well, I was watching her daughter. They stopped at McDonald's or something, I don't know. I was watching her daughter, and I was just rinsed the conditioner, well, the dye out of my hair, and waited for them to get back. And then
What happened when they got back?
She came, and she had 2 little travel-sized bottles of conditioner. She gave one to Karen and one to me. She asked Karen to put it on her hair, and she told us to put it on her hair for as long as we could stand it. Now, I'm not sure what that meant, but once we put the conditioner on her hair...
Well, did you look at the travel-sized bottle of conditioner?
Yes. It was the exact same. I've used that conditioner before. It was the exact same kind that she was using.
Right. And did you open it yourself?
No.
Who opened it?
Danielle.
Were you there when she opened it?
Yeah, I was there when she opened it.
And you had used that conditioner previously and nothing had happened?
Correct.
And you put it on your hair and what happened?
I let it sit for a little while and then it started to burn. And Karen went into the bathroom to rinse that conditioner because she had it on her hair too.
Step up here, please. You're Karen?
Yes.
Karen, when you put the conditioner on your hair, did it burn too?
No.
It didn't burn at all?
Nope.
Had you ever used that conditioner before?
No.
But you went to rinse yours out.
Yes.
Why?
Because she said her head started to burn, so I was scared that it might have a reaction with my head, so I went to rinse my hair out, and I rinsed it out, and it was just conditioned.
What happened when you went to rinse yours out?
Well, I went into the bathroom to rinse it out, and I put my head under the drain. I was standing in the bathtub, and I looked down at my hands, and there was hair in my hands, but I thought it was just because I had dyed it, and maybe someone died, right? But then I came to the conclusion that when I dyed my hair, it was fine. When I rinsed the hair dye out, it was fine. All of a sudden, it started coming out in clumps, like the whole bathtub, the whole bathroom was covered in hair. My hands were full of hair.
How long was your hair?
Short, but...
Okay.
It didn't come out at the root. It came down to like a little stubble. And for 3 days, it just kept coming out more and more. Every time I washed it, every time I brushed it, it just kept falling out and falling out and falling out until I had a burnt spot in my head that would stretch about that far.
Did you take the bottle of conditioner?
No.
Why not?
Because the garbage had gotten emptied out with the bottle of conditioner in it right after it happened.
Well, wouldn't it have been wise to save that bottle? Once you saw all your hair falling out in the drain.
It crossed
it did cross my mind, and I went to look in the garbage, but it had been emptied already.
Who emptied it?
Karen.
Where did she put it?
Oh, I'd emptied the garbage can because we had dyed our hair and used the same garbage can. So I have a 3-month-old downstairs, so there's like all the chemical stuff in one garbage can. So after we had put our conditioner out and it started to smell, I took it out, tied it up in a bag, and put it in the garage outside.
Okay, so there was no reason why you couldn't go get that vial from the garage outside, right?
Right.
Well, why didn't you think about doing that?
Because I wasn't really convinced yet that she had done it. Like, I was suspicious, but I wasn't really convinced that she had done it.
Okay, so now you're having a reaction and your hair is coming out in clumps as you're rinsing it out. And you're not convinced that she did it. What convinced you, according to you, that she had done it?
Well, once I stopped to think about it, she's cut my hair before, and it looked not so great. And she went to Karen and to my boyfriend Brian and said, well, I cut her hair like that so she'd look stupid so Brian wouldn't want her. And not only that, but a friend of ours was sleeping on the couch one night, and she said she was envious of her hair.
Just a minute. Is this something that you heard or that somebody told you?
Well, she said it to her.
What did she say?
She said that Nicole asked her to cut her hair, and she cut her hair, and she said that she purposely messed it up because Brian told her to do it, to make her look ugly.
Now, did you go to the store with her?
Yes, I did.
And how many other people went to the store with her?
It was me, Danielle, and Jamie, who is a friend of ours. He was at the house that night.
What store did you go to?
We went to Walmart.
Were you all together?
Yes.
Were you all together when the conditioner was purchased?
No. Me and Jamie took some of the stuff that she wanted to buy. She said she wanted a phone card for her phone. So we went to the electronics section to get her phone card while she was purchasing everything else she had bought that day.
Who carried the bag with the conditioner and all the other stuff?
Danielle.
Now, when you got back, who took out the conditioner bottles from the bag?
Danielle.
Did they look exactly the same?
Yes.
Was there any indication that either one had been tampered with?
No.
Did you see both bottles?
Yes.
They were both the exact same bottles?
Yes. Travel size conditioners. Same kind, everything.
So when they were taken out of the bag, do you remember this when she took them out of the bag?
No, I wasn't there when she took them out of the bag. Like, we had everything set up in the bathroom, but the problem was I have a 3-month-old, so we couldn't all just be in the bathroom at the same time. So she went downstairs first, and I went downstairs. Jamie was already downstairs, Nicole was already downstairs because she was there. We had just gotten back. I went into the bathroom. The bottles were already out of the bag. They were on the counter. She grabbed one. She said, here, you got to put this on your hair. You got to put it on your hair dry, like instead of having the water in it. So I'm like, okay. So I put it on my hair. No big deal. Just left it in my hair.
How many other items were purchased that day?
There was the 2 bottles of conditioner, a phone, 1 or 2 phone cards for cell phone, a prescription, I don't know what it was though, from the pharmacy. And hair dye, her hair dye.
Whose hair dye?
Danielle's.
You didn't see any purchase of any hair remover or anything else, did you?
No, I just know what she said she had to pick up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did either of the 2 conditioners smell any differently when you put them on?
Not at first, but once we put them on our head, then my hair started to smell like if you were to light someone's hair on fire.
And later today,
we ended up filing a police report on Amanda Sheppy because she threatened to kill me.
Well, did she threaten you before or after you didn't pay the rent?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nicole Michaud says Danielle Faria tampered with her hair conditioner, causing her hair to fall out. Danielle denies the charge.
Well, Danielle, I have one question for you. Did you dislike her enough to put something in that conditioner that would cause her hair to fall out?
No. No, ma'am.
What do you think might have caused her hair to fall out?
I'm not sure, but as soon as it started happening, I was the one who was on the phone to the hair dye company and to the conditioner. Karen was there when I was on the phone with them. I asked them, I said, this is what's happening, what can we do?
Is that true?
Yes. They said nothing. They said she must have just had an allergic reaction or something, because on every hair dye, the pamphlet where you get the gloves, says do a 48-hour allergy test.
Yeah, but she had already used this hair dye according to her before.
True.
Okay, but you actually got on the phone.
Yes, I did.
Did anybody suggest that you get the little bottle and find out anything about the bottle?
Well, no. The actual hair company that we used, the actual product, they were closed. Like when I called, this was at probably like 10 o'clock at night, they were closed. So I called L'Oreal, which was the product that I used, just the number off my box, and they're the ones who told me this. And they said, just make sure she doesn't brush her hair or whatever. And the conditioner didn't even cross my mind, because conditioner, you wouldn't think it would do anything.
You told her to put it on and leave it on as long as you could.
Mm-hmm.
Did you tell her that?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Just because that's what the lady at the Walmart told me when we were shopping. I didn't even remember, I didn't even think of getting the conditioner until we had talked to the cosmetician, whatever she's called, at the Walmart, and she had said that because Nicole wanted to dye her hair black, then put blonde peroxide streaks into it. So I asked her, I said, well, what can we possibly use I know her hair is going to be damaged either way, but what could we possibly use to at least save it a little bit? And that's what she gave me, was those 2 conditioners.
You know what your problem is? What you think, Nicole, may have happened. It is possible. But the one thing that you would have had to establish that Danielle did something purposefully to you is to have saved the bottle, right?
Yes.
Wasn't put in a trash compactor, it was just outside in the trash. All you had to do was open up the trash, dig in, find both bottles, because you don't know which one is which. You would have had both bottles. They could have been tested to see if there was anything in there. Did either of the 2 conditioners smell any differently when you put them on?
Not at first, but once we put them on our head, then my hair started to smell like, if you were to light someone's hair on fire, that's what it started to smell like. The entire basement smelled like burned hair, and hers smelled fine. Just smelled like regular.
And hers smelled fine.
Yeah.
What kind of dye did you put on your hair?
Same as hers, nice and easy.
Were you planning on putting blonde streaks in your hair?
I was, but I hadn't gotten that far yet, because she had given me the conditioner and said, if you put this on your hair, then it'll stop it from dyeing when you put the blonde streaks in. And so I did.
Do you understand what the problem is? I mean, what you're accusing her of is a serious assault. Tampering with a product in order to cause danger to you. I don't know if that's true. I mean, she purchased the product. There was no indication that they were tampered with before it was put on your head. Is it possible that she went into the store, purchased these 2 vials, went over to a different area, picked up a hair remover, poured some out somehow, right? Filled up your bottle with, or part of your bottle with a hair remover? I mean, is that possible?
I think it is.
It's possible. It's unlikely that somebody wouldn't have seen all this activity going on in the store, right?
It's true, but we never really asked anybody in the store if they'd seen anything weird.
Well, if you never asked anybody, then that's your problem, because you're suing her. You go into the store and you ask a question, and you get the evidence. The proof is in those little bottles. But before I'm prepared to say that this young woman committed a felony, which is really what you're talking about, because that would have been a felony, I need more proof than that, and so does every other court. I think you look terrific. And it's going to grow. It's a style, anyway. Still have the same boyfriend?
Kind of, I guess. We still associate.
Okay, good. All I can tell you is, Miss Faria, if you did what she thinks that you did, if you did, that's a terrible thing. Unfortunately, she can't prove it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Why does that excuse you? They step out.
Danielle has a way of getting in and making everything look like it's okay for a little while, and then pushing everybody out and ruining everybody's life.
Nicole has a way to turn everything. She's a drama queen. She screams it for attention, and she'll do anything to get it.
I'm not going to let her touch my hair anymore.